It's the second day of the week and we are back here on your screens. This is the best breakfast show on the block. Welcome to the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi, and of course, the man himself, Benjamin Akaku. I know he's silent waiting for my cue to come in, but how are you feeling today, Ben?
Je vais très bien chez toi.
Yeah, on that note, so if you've been following us for a while, you know that in a bit, Tema-Dawhenya will be here serving you the first news bulletin on the Joy News channel, the AM News. And after that, we'll get into the newspaper review segment. And today we'll be joined by Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe. And after that, of course, we get into AM Sports. Muftana Nabil Abdullah will bring you the latest from the world of sports. And then, of course, we pivot into our big stories.
All right, so let's get ready. In our first big story, we're taking you to the courts, the legal system. It has to do with that ambulance case involving minority leader Dr. Kasialato Forsen. And of course, now there is that tussle between the AG and his office and Richard Jakba, one of the accused. Now, of all the things that have emerged, a former director of the Ghana School of Law, basically Mr. Ansasari, is saying, on the back of what he knows, the Attorney General should give everyone a break and resign. But is this a legitimate call on the back of what has happened? We'll dilate on those issues this morning on the first belt of our big stories.
And on our second belt, you know, the residents of Dawhenya who ply the Dawhenya Road are frustrated with the daily gridlock. We'll go there and tell you what the situation looks like and also engage the Ghana Railway Authority on how, what the way forward is and how to make the situation go away. So stay with us.
That Dawhenya stretch,
yeah.
I used to use it some time back. Dawhenya, Dawhenya. Trust me. I was heading into Pram at the time. It's not an easy stretch to navigate. The traffic, even on the back of the new developments, it's still traffic congestion prone. So it's a good discussion we're going to be having.
The interesting thing is
today.
when you go past it, the road is free.
Yeah.
So what really causes that?
Once you get to, like you're saying, you get past the, I think, past Central University, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
But within that space, you could spend hours and hours. And we'll be dilating on that this morning on the show. Don't forget to share your thoughts with us via phone and via messages, via the live stream as well. Do stay for the news. Up next.
Hello, good morning. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. My name is Appiagyei and I bring you AM News. Now, some pupils and students at the Katamanso cluster of schools in the Katamanso municipality continue to reel the impact of a rainstorm that ripped off some classrooms about a fortnight ago. Authorities at the affected schools had no option but to merge some classes, pushing student population to over 100 in a single class with no clear timeline for when normalcy will return. This came to light when former MP and regent of the area, Akufo-Addo, paid medical bills of 4 pupils injured during the rainstorm. Here's more from Tema correspondent Kwame Anka.
The rainstorm over a fortnight ago threatened both human lives and destroyed property. From ripped-off classrooms to smashed cars, the negative impact of the rainstorm is quite telling. This has compelled authorities to merge some junior high classes to accommodate the students as a temporary measure with the hope of having all affected structures at Katamanso cluster of schools fixed. Regent of Katamanso and former MP for Katamanso constituency, Akufo-Addo, after paying the medical bills of pupils injured during the rainstorm, appealed to authorities to double their steps.
Because the teachers have complained of they not being able to put the children in the classroom to teach them and some of the issues they are going through. So I'm just calling on the authorities. I know the MC is there. The MC have gone beyond his level. I know there is some contribution that he can give. I'm calling on my colleagues who are today ministers, the Minister for Education. We've been together to at least focus on or attend to our plea, because we'll all be at rest and we'll be happy when the issues are attended to, so that what we are going through today, what the children are going through, will become a thing of the past.
After witnessing the congestion in the classrooms, Yinlaya Akufo-Addo says there is the need to check birth rates.
I'm talking about giving birth to children. I'm talking about family planning. The speed at which they are going and the speed at which our parents are producing. Sometimes you can't run with them. And I know it will always be a problem. But somewhere along the line, we should always focus on the issues and then attend to them. That's the only thing that we can do when the challenges arise. If I've not come here to see what the situations are, I wouldn't have been able to know what it is on the ground. And I'll also call on the MMDCEs in the country, especially in Greater Accra, to move out of their offices to visit facilities of schools, health institutions, water projects, and very important things so that at least Ghanaians will have some relief.
Meanwhile, Assembly member for Penkwai electoral area, Joshua Bote Afutu, is appealing for immediate solution to the situation at hand.
The incident happened, the DCE and the authorities, they were here and they assessed the damage and they sent the engineers to come and assess it. But as at the time they are coming, that one day, I don't know anything about it. But all what I'm telling them is that they should fast track it so that we can get our things done, so that the children will be relieved in learning. If they can do a story building for us, even where the roof has damaged, if we can put in pillars so that they can deck it and raise another structure so that they can ease the densely populated classroom. Both Ponkatamansu Municipal Chief Executive Samuel Okwamankwa and Education Director Harry Evans Arthur, having earlier visited the affected schools, have assured of addressing the challenges. So far, 3 out of 4 injured pupils have recovered and returned to school.
Now, Love News has learned that over 50 girls at the Garden City Special School in the Ashanti region rely on their teachers for sanitary pads and support during menstruation. Menstruation is a monthly occurrence for 1.8 billion girls and women of reproductive age globally. However, girls with special needs face greater challenges in managing their menstrual cycle. Teachers at the Garden City School are calling for assistance. Anita Sewa Ajuga has more in this report.
The Garden City Special School houses over 100 students with special needs. More than 50 of them are adolescent girls who are unable to take care of themselves during the menstruation. They are between the ages of 12 to 40 years. Nancy Baidu, a teacher, narrates the barriers that come with taking care of girls with special needs during menstruation.
Most of the times, with their condition, they are not able to fix the pad themselves and they can't calculate their days where the flow will come. So most of the times it's spoil themselves before they come for you to clean them and then you fix them properly for them. And they've soiled themselves, you have to bath for them. Using disinfectant, we normally use Dettol. Okay, you bath for the person and then you fix the pad for the person. Only few of them can do, but most of them you have to bath for them. Washing their private part. Even sometimes you might be eating and one will just remove the pad. Madam Share Moja.
Some of the students are unable to purchase sanitary pads due to increasing prices. Nancy Baidu is calling on government and non-governmental organizations to come to their aid.
Benevolent people, individuals, governments, they can help the children with the pad and also with hand gloves.
As part of the 2024 World Menstrual Hygiene Day, the Greater Accra Metropolitan Sanitation and Water Project donated 40 boxes of sanitary pads to the Garden City Special School. Engineer George Esiedu, project coordinator at GKMA and Gamma Water Sanitation Project, says the ministry is committed to providing more gender and disability-friendly sanitation facilities.
The focus this year is that we need to let the differently able, we don't leave them out. So we came here to also re-emphasize the point that to be able to manage sanitation, to be able to manage hygiene, to be able to manage menses, you need access to water, you need access to improved toilet facility, and then you need the materials that the girl child will need.
For Joy News, Anita Sewa Ajugam reporting.
The Hope Exchange Medical Center in Kumasi, operating under the Christian Health Services of Ghana, has secured what could be a game changer in real-time medical surgery in Ghana. The facility has received a technology that allows surgeons to engage in real-time communication with their counterparts at the National University Health System in Singapore during live surgical procedures. The new technology aims to tackle complex surgical procedures and lessen post-surgery impact. Here's a report by Clinton Yabwa.
The mixed reality technology is being piloted and will introduce augmented reality surgery in Ghana. It was received from experts at the National University Health System in Singapore to be fused into surgical procedures to address gaps at the surgery unit. The mixed reality at the Hope Exchange Medical Center will leverage the cutting-edge capabilities of Microsoft HoloLens, representing a convergence of virtual and physical worlds to solve complex surgery complications. Associate Professor Glenn Bonney says the initiative will give surgeons an interactive and expertise-sharing experience with experts across the world during complex surgeries.
And how it works is it sits on the head of a surgeon like this. And essentially it allows this to connect now in space from Singapore. We are able to see the surgery and we are able to draw lines and to help surgeons here as well to do operations, as well as after the operation. If we are doing ward rounds, we can actually use this to look at patients, to look at scans, to render them into 3 dimensions, and we can have surgeons and doctors here while other surgeons and specialists around the world, including my hospital in Singapore, are able to support complex cases like this. And we're trying to create an ecosystem where the world can support complex surgical care, complex multidisciplinary care for patients, as well as the care of them post-operatively, for example. And we're good friends and collaborators with Hope Exchange for many years now. For about 6 years now, we've had a relationship. The team have been out before. It's been a joy to see the amazing strengths this hospital has grown into.
Medical Superintendent at Hope Exchange, Akufo-Addo Amwating, notes the process will help reduce mortality from surgeries.
They are going to be having laparotomies. Laparotomies are incisions, basically having a surgical incision in the abdomen, intra-op operations. So there are different procedures they are going to be performing. A 3D image can be formed, and intra-op, they can guide the surgeons here. So we get extra help from our external partners without having them physically here. It helps to give the patients a better chance at life, and it also helps to reduce the stress of them coming in and out to help us with the surgeries.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
And now the Commandant of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Major General Matthew Essien, has emphasized the importance of equipping modern soldiers with the necessary skills and competencies in cyber and space security. According to him, these domains are being weaponized, highlighting the need to stay abreast of these developments to effectively combat these threats posed by technologies. Major General Essien made this call at the opening of the first ever multi-domain operations and future warfare course in Teshi here in Accra. Carlos Kaloni has more.
For the next 2 weeks, 128 participants from over 10 African countries will undergo critical training in the Multi-Domain Operations MDO and Future Warfare course. Among other objectives, the course aims to enhance the participants' understanding of the concept of MDOs and its significance in modern warfare. It will examine the contributions of land, maritime, air power, cyber and nuclear capabilities to MDOs and prepare for future conflicts. The course will also explore stress factors and the technological landscape shaping future wars, including emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence (AI), robotics, cyber capabilities, and hypersonic weapons. Speaking at the opening, Major General Matthew Essien underscored the importance of cyber knowledge and the involvement of the media in modern warfare.
Cyber is critical. As the world is becoming technologically advanced, you can never do anything without cyber. If we want to safeguard even our financial sector, cyber is critical. If we want to find out what our future opponent is doing, cyber is critical. If we have to disrupt the enemy's power system and all those things. Even we also should be able to protect our power system, our water system, our everything, because as we increasingly use technology and AI, we need to be also very strong in the cyber domain. And then, therefore, we are using this opportunity to create awareness with our officers. Officers should be aware that in planning the operations, cyber is critical. The other thing has to do with the media. The media domain is critical. And like I was telling them, you can win the actual fighting. But if you lose the media war, then you would have lost everything. And therefore, I'm trying to let my officers understand that in carrying out their plans, they need to consider media seriously. Because media can do or undo you.
He stressed the need to equip the military with the requisite knowledge to enhance national security.
Space is also being weaponized now, and therefore to ensure that our officers will be able to conform with things happening on the modern battle space, it is important that military and multi-domain operations like we are embarking on now is brought to their attention. We did learn from other people's experience so that we can fight and win the next war for our country.
Some participants also shared their expectations.
And every one of us should be interested in the peace of the nation before, during, and after the 2024 election. I mean, without the nation, we cannot move forward. Without peace, we cannot move forward. So I think that this course will make me understand more how we need to negotiate if we don't understand one another, because war, violence, shouldn't become our focus.
In addition to analyzing operational design considerations for multi-domain operations, including joint operations, environment assessment, and design conceptualization, the course will discuss strategies for fostering a psychological safe command climate. It will also evaluate command structures in multi-domain operations, including decentralized command, centralized command, and leveraging technology for real-time decision-making. For Joy News, Carlos Galoni, Teshi.
And now the Akufo-Addo and acting president of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Owusu-Jare II, has admonished Ghanaians, especially the younger generation, to discard what he described as the quick money mentality and work harder in their respective careers. The traditional ruler made these comments at the 2024 Career Excellence Awards in Techiman. Anna Sabit has more.
Ghanaian youth have been urged to stay away from the love for quick money, since it is the root of all social vices across the country. This call was made by the Akufo-Addo and acting president of the Techiman Traditional Council, Nana Owusu-Jare II, at the 2024 Career Excellence Awards in Techiman.
Youth of today, the attitude towards work, they have to back up, because if that quick money will not end them anywhere. The quick money will always end them in jail. So I'm not advising any youth to crave for quick money. You start from the scratch and then you build it up before you see your work will be on top and people will see you, and that will end you well in life.
Nana Usujari admonished the youth to work harder as well as stay submissive to their superiors as they endeavor towards climbing the ladder of success.
If you are working for the government, try and be diligent, work hard, and your supervisors will see you and promote you so that in the near future you can also be boss. If you are not ready to serve, nobody will serve you in this world. So in all careers, whether you are an apprentice in any field, you try to be submissive to your master and work hard. That will bring you up so that in the near future you will benefit and also excel in life.
Chief Executive Officer of the Career Excellence Awards, who are the organizers of the event, Prince Jesse Bechi Antwi, charged Ghanaian workers to strive towards making positive impacts on the communities they serve.
It is not just about personal achievement, but also about making a positive impact on the people who are around us. So as you look at your externalities, make sure all these externalities are affecting society in a positive way for us to achieve social cohesion, for us to achieve social efficiency is very, very key.
Deputy Bunu East Regional Manager of the Pharmaceutical Council, Dr. Charles Champon, on his part, spoke against the abuse of opioids by the youth, leading to the significant public health crisis.
The misuse and abuse of opioids have devastated communities, leading to significant public health crisis. Prescription opioids, initially intended to alleviate severe pain, have often been overprescribed, leading to widespread addiction. This is not only results in a high number of overdose deaths, but has also increased the incidence of related health issues, such as transmission of infection diseases through needle sharing.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Techiman.
At this point, I hand over to Sweetie Abochi to bring you business updates.
Let's get into some business stories, starting with Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abinal Sayasari, is projecting the Ghana cedi to remain relatively stable due to the expected foreign inflows in the later part of 2024. Now, speaking at the 8th CEO Summit in Accra, she emphasized funds from the World Bank, IMF, and other donor partners will shore up the nation's reserves.
And we noted the impacts of the volatile forex situation on businesses. We accordingly indicated we have sufficient forex reserve at the Bank of Ghana. We also expanded on efforts to secure about $2.3 billion before the end of the year to add on to the significant foreign exchange reserves. This we're going to get through the World Bank DPO 2 and also the IMF inflows that we are hoping that after they go to the board in June, there will be an inflow of about $360 million and other sources of foreign currency, which we are hoping will bring into the country to shore up what we have. And so there is no cause for alarm. And so we shouldn't also encourage panic buying.
Next, the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Sir Sam Jonah, is calling on the government to be intentional about investments made into the horticulture sector through the improvement in infrastructure. Now, according to him, this could enhance competitiveness of exports and ensure food security. He was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Horticulture Expo by the Federation Association of Ghanaian Exporters.
It is essential that we continue to work together, government, private sector, and development partners, to create an enabling environment that fosters innovation and growth in the sector. We've seen the resilience and ingenuity of our farmers who have adapted to changing circumstances and embraced new technologies to improve productivity and quality. It is now our collective responsibility to support them by providing the necessary resources, infrastructure, and policies that will enable them to thrive. I call on our government and policymakers to prioritize the development of this sector by investing in infrastructure, research, and capacity building. By doing so, we can reduce post-harvest losses, ensure food safety, and enhance the competitiveness of our exports. Additionally, we must streamline regulatory processes and create favorable conditions for trade both within Africa and globally.
And that's it for business updates. Handing back over to Appiagyei.
And that's how we end the news here on AM Show. But don't forget that right after the news, we have the news review. We'll be joined by financial analyst Dr. Wisdom Dogbe. My name is Appiagyei. Have a terrific Tuesday.
Welcome to the newspaper review segment with me, Benjamin Akapo, and Sweetie Abochi.
Well, since you're both of us in one, something just came to mind. But thank you for staying. This segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And today as well, they're offering you that opportunity, if you're a man, to pass through any of their branches and get prostate screening for free. It's wreaking havoc among the male population across the world, but especially of those of African descent. You don't want to be taken by surprise. And for women, fertility screening for free as well. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Then there's Kumasi, Timecodes behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Energy State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zama. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. We're glad to welcome aboard, joining the conversation, Wisdom Kofi Dogbe. He's a financial analyst, and he joins us this morning as we have breakfast on the News Review. Wisdom, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Sweetie. Thanks for having me again.
All right, so let's get right down to it. What would you like to discuss with us this morning before we cut into the papers?
Yeah, Ben, I read a bit about allegations that the Attorney General tried to get a defendant in the ambulance case to implicate the minority leader, Honorable Dr. Akufo-Addo. I think it is a very serious accusation to the extent that if this is proven to be true, the Attorney General may have to resign because he would have lost the confidence of the nation to act as an AG. And I'm not a legal expert, but I am wondering if he could also have some legal exposure as a result of this alleged misconduct, attempting to implicate a political rival. These allegations are serious. We need to quickly answer the question of if this is a political persecution or this is actually a genuine prosecution. Ben, it costs a lot of money to try these cases in court. And it will be quite unfortunate if a case like this is being done only for political purposes. And I think that it is an abuse of the judicial system, if the system is turned into a weapon to smear and jail a political opponent. It undermines the principles of equality before the law, and it erodes public confidence in the judicial system. Look, in my mind, right, it is a clear case of abuse of power by the AG if indeed he tried to get the defendant to implicate Honorable Dr. Atto-Forson. In fact, I think that is a violation of the minority leader's human rights if it turns out that he's been put on trial because not because he committed any crime, right? Not because he broke any laws, but because he's a political opponent. I think it is saddening, to say the least. Ghana is better than this, and we can do better. Look, I'm not trying to be overly political here in this matter, but I've had the opportunity to sit down and also chat with Honorable Dr. Atto-Forson, and him and I will continue to exchange messages every now and then. So I can say confidently that the man is an honorable, fine man, and in all of my discussions with him, you could tell that he's focused on helping our nation, to achieve economic independence. He shared with me some of his plans to do what is right for the nation, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for the man. So I can vouch for his integrity and also dignity as a decent and also a fine statesman.
Let me just sneak this in, and it's not to dispute what you're saying, but someone can have all of that moral character and all of that and still err. And when you err in law, sometimes there are consequences. I'm not saying he is culpable or not, but I'm just trying to situate the conversation that just because someone has character, just because that person is a gentleman or works diligently, effectively, and efficiently, does not mean as well that the person may not commit an error here and there. Mind you, I'm not saying that the minority leader has. I mean, if you look at things and the LC, among others, you may raise certain questions. We'll leave the courts to do that. I'm just saying that let's not make a blanket statement as though once someone were of good character and had a certain track record, they could never err. That's all I want to chip in.
I bet you're right? And that's not what I'm saying at all. There is a reason why we have the court system. And we should allow the court system to be independent, and the rule of law would take its course, right? It's going through the legal proceedings, and the judicial system will determine that. But Ben, with that said, I think that the defendant who made these allegations against the AG should provide evidence quickly. I think that the truth needs to be established ASAP. And I have concerns if this is true, Ben. And my main concern in this case is that when a whole attorney general works maliciously to implicate a lawmaker, maybe only because that lawmaker is in opposition or because of maybe some personal vendetta, I think it raises serious questions, right, about the fairness and also the integrity of the attorney general and also the legal system that he runs. So I would expect that there will be an independent investigation into the allegations, right? An investigation that it will be carried out by a neutral and independent body, to ensure that there is impartiality and also objective assessment of the evidence to be produced. And because of this allegation against the AG, when it comes to the judiciary, I think that the judge in charge will go that extra mile, to carefully review all the evidences that will be presented in the case and make a ruling that is based only on the merits of the case and totally free of any political influence or pressure.
Right.
I say this because if the allegations against the AG are true, Ben, quickly, then there is no guarantee that he wouldn't attempt to also influence the judiciary in hopes of getting the outcomes that he wants, even if it means bending the law. And so I think that the onus is also on the judge, to show that the judiciary maintains its independence and neutrality throughout the entire proceedings.
Well, thank you, Wisdom. Let's get into the papers now. Would you like to start, sweetie?
Yep, let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. On the front page, halting CD decline. Bank of Ghana rolls out tough measures. Baumia Mahama spa over economy at CEO summit. Ghana loses $1.9 billion to post-harvest losses annually. Minority urges president to construct Paulugu Dam project. And Reverend Father Campbell, 23 others for maiden ELC awards. Work on Minerals Commission office in Kumasi progresses. Let's start from page 3 of the daily graphic. The Bank of Ghana rolls out tough measures, and the story reads, the Bank of Ghana has stepped in to directly absorb the foreign exchange needs of corporate institutions as part of a series of measures to contain the depreciation cedi. This is to reduce the pipeline demands for foreign exchange from the commercial banks and effectively halt the depreciating local currency. The Ghana cedi has so far depreciated by 14.6% against the US dollar and is trading at 13.94% and selling at 13.96%. Against the dollar at the intermarket. At some forex bureaus in Accra, the dollar was being bought at 14.80 pesos and sold at 15 cedis as of yesterday. But the central bank says they're working with the Ghana Association of Banks to streamline documentation requirements for foreign payments to minimize the incentives to resort to the informal markets. I want to go through the entire paper before we come for reactions. South Africa votes tomorrow. Tomorrow, May 29th, South Africa will vote in national provincial elections to elect a new National Assembly and state legislatures. The National Assembly will choose the president for the next 5 years. It will be the country's 7th democratic general election since the apartheid ended in 1994 when Nelson Mandela was elected president and the ANC winning 62.5%. But after 30 years of dominance, the ANC faces its toughest election yet, needing 50% of the National Assembly to maintain its parliamentary majority. I don't know what you think about that. But in politics, or still on some business issues, Ghana loses $1.9 billion to post-harvest losses annually. Now, Ghana loses about $1.9 billion of its crop production to post-harvest losses annually. The head of food system at the World Food Program, Stephen Odatefiu, has disclosed, quote, we've been able to estimate that we're losing $1.9 billion in post-harvest losses every single year. That is according to Mr. Matefiu, which he said at a day's stakeholder engagement and sensitization workshop of the Avenue pilot project in Sunyani last Friday. The huge losses were attributed to factors such as lack of processing and storage facilities, as well as poor road network. Now, minority urges president to construct the Paulugu Dam project. Those are just some headlines. And there's a story I want to get into in politics, and that's on page 18 of the Daily Graphic. Bawumia Mahama spar over economy at CEO Summit. The two major presidential hopefuls, former President John Dramani Mahama of the NDC and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia of the NPP, sat in a shadow boxing on the platform of the Ghana CEO Summit and Excellence Awards in Accra yesterday, sharing varied and alternative visions to steer the economy towards recovery and growth. I think that ended with them, with Mahama actually challenging Dr. Bawumia to a debate on the economy. I'll put a pin in that. Now, my presidency will advance African unity. That is according to Mona, the presidential candidate hopeful for People's National Convention. Now, in sports, there was a story I wanted to do in sports. Here it is. Black Stars begin camp Thursday. The Black Stars of Ghana will open their training camp in Accra on Thursday, May 30th, 2024, in preparation for the crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Mali and Central African Republic. The team will train at the University of Ghana Stadium for 6 days before departing from Bamako on Tuesday, June 4th. Now, Ghana is aiming to regain its winning position from after a mixed start in Group 1 of the World Cup qualifiers. The Black Stars began their campaign with a 1-0 victory over Madagascar in Kumasi. Those are just some stories and quick. Let me add this. Pilgrims without authorized visas to be arrested. We know that come Friday, some 200 people will be lifted from Tamale to Saudi Arabia for Hajj. And they're saying that if you do not have a visa, you will be dealt with. So proper procedures are in place. But Dr. Dogbe, your reactions on these stories?
So, Sweden, I think it's a good thing that the Bank of Ghana is now taking tough measures, right, to mitigate the decline of the cedi. To be honest, the continuous depreciation of the cedi, I think, is a worrying development because if you think about it, it has wiped off the wealth of many households and also businesses significantly, and it continues to decline, right? So I think that something has to give to address the situation. And if it takes these tough measures, so be it, right? But I hope that these measures of the Bank of Ghana stepping in to, absorb the foreign exchange needs of large corporations, right, and also keeping a tighter check on forex bureaus, I hope this will not be the only key measure, sweetie. I think to address the decline of the cedi, I think it will take a multi-faceted approach. The exchange rate being one of them, right, is just one of the equation. That is why I tend to agree with the suggestion from the Institute of Economic Affairs. And I shared some of these suggestions on your show a while back on what I think the Bank of Ghana can do to build strong buffers. I think it all boils down to strengthening our macroeconomic situation, right? I mean, ensuring that we have sound monetary and also fiscal policies in place with the goal of controlling economic indicators such as ensuring that the exchange rate environment is stable, which is what this new measure is for. And we need to continue working on controlling inflation, sweetie, right, and pursuing policies that stimulate sustainable economic progress. Inflation is still too high. Look, in the U.S., right, I think inflation is around 3.3%. And trust me, Joe Biden might as well lose this election because some of the people here think that this rate of inflation is too high. And they believe it is adversely impacting the economic bottom lines.
That's 3-point-something%, huh?
Yeah, go ahead. Say that again.
No, I'm just reiterating that even at 3-point-something%, and we are here.
Yeah. And I know you'll be comparing apples to oranges, right? If you compare Ghana and the U.S. But the point here is that regardless of which side of the aisle you sit, you would agree that our current level of inflation is not helping, when it comes to stabilizing the cedi. And yes, we're in a very high debt crisis, right? But what can we do to possibly start to accumulate good reserve, right? Good of foreign exchange, to help fight against the devaluation of the cedi. Right. We got a bunch of dollars from the IMF and others, but I don't know if we managed that well. So evidently, it hasn't helped the cedi at all when it comes to stabilization. And I also think that we need to pursue policies that will promote foreign direct investment and remittances. Yeah. We need a good foreign exchange reserve as a better buffer so that we can play, right, from a position of strength in the foreign exchange market and stabilize the cedi.
Right. Any other stories, or should we get into the other paper now?
When it comes to... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I heard that Dr. Bawumia and also the former President Mahama were both speakers at the 8th Ghana CEO Awards today, right? And it seems that they leveraged the occasion to get their messaging out to the voters. Sweetie, the part that interests me more is where Dr. Bawumia touted projects that were undertaken by the NPP government. And I think that indeed, this government has done projects, right? They've done projects of various kinds. I just don't know if they've done more impactful projects than the previous administration. I don't know that for a fact. What actually caught my attention from his speech at the CEO Summit is that he said that because they have done these projects, it demonstrates government's commitment to transparency and also accountability when it comes to development efforts. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment entirely. In fact, I would say it quite differently that, there's been many instances of corruption and lack of accountability and transparency, in the way some of these projects are managed. Look at the case of the National Cathedral, where so much money has been spent, but so little can be seen over there. How about the Agenda 111 projects, where a bunch of these projects are behind schedule? Then we have this Pualugu Dam project, where 12 million United States dollars, right, has been spent with nothing significant to show for it. Look, I can keep giving you several examples, but I'd rather stay on my analysis and make my point that it is great that these projects are being done, but how has that translated into lessening the economic burden on Ghanaians?
Right. Okay,
I think that the debates will make one good sport, and it would set the pace for, you know, the election year. That although there are so many issues already, a debate will be a good start, don't you think? But let's get into the custodian newspaper.
But quickly, let me add quickly, though, Sweetie, if you don't mind. I think that Dr. Bawumia deserves some credit for championing digitization across the country. Ghana should not be left behind in the pursuit of technological advancement. That he's done, and we'll give it to him.
Point noted. So on the front page, past allegations trouble Educhum. $2.32 billion to flow into the economy. We've already talked about that. Bawumia fires up NPP USA to break the 8. Finance Ministry holds engagements with stakeholders. Most of these stories we've already gotten into. I'll do some quick headlines, and then Benjamin. CSA forms committee to establish industry forum. That is the Cybersecurity Authority. Government okays $2.3 billion. Ghana cedis to recapitalize NIB. Government to build capacities of SMEs. There are many other stories in the custodian newspaper, so you can grab one for yourself and get into the stories. Benjamin.
Well, I'd like to salute Prof. I don't know whether to mention your full name, but you just got back into town and you've sent me a message. Welcome back to town, Prof. I'll start with the Daily Guide newspaper. And this morning I am tempted almost not to read certain headlines because it's becoming tiresome, isn't it? Sometimes the slant on certain stories and how, you know, the reactions are. But I'll go ahead and do them all the same. This one says, ambulance case, Attoforsen begs AG to drop case. That story is on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper. Bawumia dares Mahama to debate. I saw an interesting story on this yesterday. It gave me a good laugh, actually. Ebenage Herbal trains staff. And then boy 3 killed in Lil Win accident. All of these stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. I'll go on the International Front there as well. But the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has challenged his main contender in this year's elections, ex-President John Dramani Mahama, to a debate on the economy. I don't know what else is to be debated on the economy. But he said that the current government had undertaken tangible and verifiable development projects, as opposed to those of the NDC government led by Mr. Mahama. The vice president, who argued with the NDC flag bearer at the 8th Ghana CEO Summit in Accra, stated that the MPP government's initiatives were not guinea fowl projects under Mr. Mahama's tenure. This came after Mr. Mahama blasted the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, claiming that Ghana had become a bankrupt, collapsed country as a result of poor leadership in the past 8 years. And he said, we are all aware of our country's current challenges and difficulties. Today, we stand at a critical and troubling crossroads as our beloved Ghana has become a bankrupt, collapsed economy due to poor leadership over the past 8 years, pushing some 8,000 of our citizens into the poverty line. I don't think, Daily Guide, it's not 8,000. If I'm not mistaken, the figure is about 800,000 plus. I don't know whether this was an error, but it's not 8,000, definitely not 8,000. Then there is this other story I want to take a quick look at before I take a look at the Lil Win bits as well. Let me just do the Lil Win bit. So it says, a 3-year-old boy lost his life after the accident in Kumasi, a road accident in Kumasi, which involved the Mercedes-Benz of actor Kwejon Kansa, also known as Lil Win, and 2 other cars on Saturday. Now, fresh reports emerging indicate that the boy, identified as Richard Tewia Ampoma, and his father, his name has been withheld, sustained life-threatening injuries when the cars collided. The boy and his father, who were in a Hyundai Santa Fe, were reportedly rushed to a nearby hospital at Anwiem for immediate treatment. Unfortunately, that 3-year-old is no longer with us. We'll leave the authorities to get into the salient details of that. But I just wanted to take a quick swipe at some of the stories. Prioritize online safety of children, IOCO boss says so. Now, the executive director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Commissioner of Police, Mami Atiwa-Adudankwa, has urged parents to prioritize online safety of their children by implementing effective monitoring measures. Now, such a move, she believed, would help reduce the number of missing children recorded in the country. She made these remarks at this year's International Missing Children's Day, hosted by Missing Children Ghana, a non-governmental organization. What I would add to this story as my view, I think children are being given IT gadgets far too early in some jurisdictions. Interestingly, some of these people in the middle of tech, they are giving their children gadgets after they are 12 and 13. Here, we are willing. I see it at Sunday school and other places. We give them gadgets right from the start. And scientifically, it's been proven that when you start doing that to them, it affects parts of their brain development in certain ways. But I don't know. I guess we're always very keen on copying and copying blindly. So 3 stories, first of all, for your reflection. Baumia daring Mahama to a debate, that 3-year-old boy who's been killed in that latest accident, and then the bit about IOCO on the online safety of children. The thoughts have to be very quick, Wisdom. I'll bring 2 international stories your way, and then we'll say goodbye to the Daily Guide newspaper. Quick thoughts?
I would say that first thought is thoughts and prayers to the family of that 3-year-old boy, old child. I don't know if it's a boy or girl.
It's a boy.
A very saddening. Yeah, it's a boy, right? That's a very saddening story, and we should be praying for them, for that family. But Ben, when it comes to that 800,000 Ghanaians pushed below the poverty line, I think it is no doubt that the economic policies that were pursued, in the last few years, I think that these policies have worsened the economic plight of Ghanaians and has pushed many of our citizens below the poverty line. A couple of years ago, right, a good number of Ghanaians were able to afford, building materials like cement, a trip of sand, and also iron rods, right? These things are now afforded only by a small percentage of the population. Even everyday items like food and healthcare, a lot of Ghanaians are struggling to afford these things. So unfortunately, the former president has a point in saying that many Ghanaians are now under the poverty line. But it shouldn't be so. We need to implement effective policies to move Ghanaians above the poverty line. And in my opinion, this will require a combination of targeted policy intervention and also systemic changes. And we need to start with job creation, right, and also economic growth. I think that, Ben, we should be pursuing policies that promote economic growth and policies that create jobs. This is very critical in lifting the citizens out of poverty.
Right. Thank you for those. Yesterday, I had an interaction with the majority leader of Ghana's parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. And, some reflection there on page 4 of the Daily Guide newspaper. NDC as alternative is scary. That's according to Afenyo-Markin. And that's what the Daily Guide captured, talking about his speaking on Joy News, the AM show. Anyway, so that is it. On the international front, more than 2,000 people buried alive in landslide. This gave me chills because of the situation in Ghana and many places that are literally, some of them on fault lines when it comes to earthquakes, others in areas where if there were a landslide, mudslide, it could be catastrophic. We don't have the means. We claim to manage disasters and there's nothing, but that's the situation, as more than 2,000 people have been buried by a massive landslide in northern Papua New Guinea, the country's disaster agency has said. And then there's also there's a story I wanted to get into very quickly. Okay, so I think it may have been the other one I did. I'll pause here on the Daily Guide newspaper. If you don't have any thoughts, I would move on. Wisdom?
I haven't been on top of that news from Papua New Guinea, so let me come back to you with my reactions later on that one.
All right. And our Our condolences to them, of course, on the back of those deaths.
Absolutely.
The new finder, fireworks at CEO Summit as Bawumia Mahama tackle each other. Moses Baden, CEO of Margins, adjudged overall best CEO. Ghana eyes $2 billion out of $34.1 billion global salt market. And I guess it's only fitting as well that we celebrate our very own Kenansa, adjudged CEO of the Year Media for radio. So congratulations to our CEO. He's done this many a time and he's winning it one more time. It says a lot about your credibility. So Mr. Ansah, congratulations and good morning to you. Now, the Economy Times. Government records 2.6% deficit for first quarter 2024. Ghana loses $54 billion annually to environmental degradation. That's according to the EPA. And government expects $2.3 billion to support the city. I'm sorry, but government in, government out, and getting something from somewhere before we can balance something. You know, if the world were to go into a major crisis, financial crisis, think of 2008 and the rest, and countries were very unwilling to help other countries. And even the Bretton Woods institutions were themselves, yes, we are members and all of that, we contribute and all of that. But if those scales were to shift or tilt, I wonder where we would be. Anyway, so provisional data on the execution of the 2024 budget shows that for the first quarter of this year, the government has recorded an overall broad cash deficit of 2.6% of GDP, according to figures from the Bank of Ghana. Then, like I said, Ghana losing $54 billion to environmental degradation every year. And then the expected support, hopefully that will shore up the city. Just this dawn, I was reading something about Zimbabwe and how bad it got at a point, about 5 billion% on their currency, where you needed about 500 million just to get a loaf of bread. Hopefully we never get there. Quick thoughts in about a minute and a half and we're good to go. Wisdom.
Ben, you see, when it comes to the fiscal deficit that you just talked about, and I wasn't on top of that news either, but this is what I can say, right? When we begin to borrow, I can almost guarantee you that we'll borrow to cover that deficit. And when it comes to that borrowing, it makes our debt level continues to rise, right? Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to the growth of the national debt, I would say that it's a frightening statistics. And let's face it, right? The depreciation of the city is killing us financially when it comes to servicing our debt. We need to stabilize the ship, right? When it comes to the exchange rate volatility. Look, the city depreciation by itself is cost about 30 billion cedis, right, in additional debt when it comes to the portion of the external debt. So there is the urgency to address the decline of the city. But we also should get to the point where we say that enough is enough and work on our fiscal discipline, right? We need to implement, sound fiscal policies to, reduce the public debt. The thing is that increased borrowing by the government, right, from the domestic market, mainly to supplement this kind of short-term funding needs, such as salaries and also financing other government expenditures. This domestic borrowing also went up by about 20 billion cedis. So if we continue this way, we are mortgaging our future, and the kids, our children, will have to pay this.
Thank you, Wisdom, for those succinct thoughts on those bits. We're grateful for your time this morning. Sweetie, any quick thoughts?
I like how he put it. We are mortgaging our future.
Well.
Posterity will judge us all.
Posterity definitely will judge. A very happy birthday to, I don't know whether I should mention this, but I will not mention it on air. But a good friend of mine here at the Multimedia Group today happens to be her birthday. Aisha Ibrahim. Today is your birthday. You would usually see her serving you Joy News Desk. Happy birthday to you, my partner in laughter, humor, and many good things. May God richly bless you. And that's how we cap it off this morning on the News Review. But this segment always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. As always, they're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Where can you find them? Here in Accra at Spentex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Tema-Dawhenya behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakradi and Akufo-Addo State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa and Siamanzama. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review. Don't you forget, after sports, we shall be looking at 1, the AG's conundrum, and 2, the Dawhenya Tema stretch and the gridlock that usually characterizes that stretch, day and night. How do we get out of that? We'll be discussing those in our big stories. But for now, let's settle for sports. Up next.
Good morning and welcome to the sports segment on the AM show with me, Haruna Mubarak. Now, Ghana's national team, the Black Challenge, have been crowned champions of the 2024 edition of the Amputee Africa Cup of Nations. This follows their 2-1 victory over Morocco in Cairo. The team conceded first, but Mohamed Mubarak scored twice, allowing Ghana to come from behind to win the match. This victory marks the team's successive defense of the title, having won the previous edition in Tanzania. They have also secured their spot at the 2026 Amputee Football World Cup, which will come off in Panama. Away from that, the president of Ghana Athletics, Prof, is calling for investment in the establishment of youth resource centers to help develop talented athletes. According to him, talent is widespread across the nation, but those residing outside Accra, Kumasi and Cape Coast struggle to hone their skills due to inadequate facilities.
The importance of those youth centers, not only Akufo-Addo, nationwide, are very, very important. Extremely important that if we are able to have those 10 centers in Ghana, I can tell you that not athletics in Ghana will see an upwards development seriously. Just look at the whole eastern part of Ghana. They have no synthetic structure of training. If the Akufo-Addo one is being open to general public, and as now it is closed down, but I'll play with the youth sports, even including the National Sports Authority and the Regional Sports Authority at Akufo-Addo to work with the ministry to let the athletes have access to the place for training. If we have those things in almost all the 10 regions that have been earmarked for those things, in the next 2-3 years, development will see a lot of athletes that emerging from these areas. The whole eastern part of Ghana, they don't have that. If they are able to train there, we should be able to produce more national athletes from that end, from that part of Ghana. And we shouldn't limit that one to only Akufo-Addo. There's another stadium which is putting up in Navorongo. The whole upper region, not only upper west, upper east, the upper part of Ghana, they don't have that. Imagine if that thing is completed in Navorongo. You could imagine what it will do to the people from that enclave. What this current government have started doing, if they're able to complete that. And aside GMP is also doing some projects around Yendi. I was passing there and they have some schools there, they are doing sports facilities around Yendi. If you're able to complete those infrastructure, we'll have a lot of competition in almost all the regions. We don't need to bring people only to Accra and Kumasi. No. We can go to Navorongo, do national program there. We can go to Enyiname, do national program there. We can go to Adan or some place to do national program there.
Yeah, mention my people. That know me, I'm a pure Dangwe boy. So
if the region see that we bring a national program there, it encourages others to also come and join. But it is always people have to travel to either Kumasi or Accra. So it's not surprised that you see the development of athletics is within a triangle.
To football, the Black Stars will assemble in Accra on Thursday to begin preparations for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Mali and Central African Republic. The team will undergo a 6-day training camp at the University of Ghana Stadium before departing for Bamako for the first qualifier against Mali on June 6. They will then host the Central African Republic on June 10 at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium in Kumasi. Akufo-Addo is expected to announce his squad for the fixtures in the coming days. Remember, Ghana is currently in 4th place in Group I with 3 points out of a possible 6. Now, the Black Starlets of Ghana will also take on Nigeria later today to battle for a 3rd place finish at the Waffle Zone B Under-17 Championship. The team missed out on a place in the finals, but still has a chance to claim 3rd place and qualify for the Under-17 Cup of Nations. Nana Kwaku Agyman is the interim head coach following the resignation of Lai Kingston, and he declares the players ready for the clash later today.
We're pretty ready. I mean, after the defeat of Burkina Faso, it was a little rough, but we've been able to psych the boys up, and then we've gotten them back in. The boys are ready because they have a lifeline, and they know that they have to take that lifeline to be able to qualify for AFCON. It's extremely important. I mean, it's my first national assignment. At first being the assistant to Lai Kingston and now taking the reins for this last game, I think it's very, very important. For me, it really defines my coaching career, and I am going to do everything possible to win this, to put smiles back on the faces of Ghanaians, and also to be able to uplift my own self as a coach. Yes, like I said, I mean, it's a lifeline for them. After the defeat, they were really down because these are boys that have been together for about 7 months, preparing to qualify for the AFCON. And then unfortunately, we lost to Burkina. So they were really down, but when they heard that there is a lifeline, I mean, they are all geared up, trying to make up for that loss, and also they know that it's a defining moment for them. They want to be able to go to AFCON, not just there, but be able to also qualify for the World Cup. So they are geared up. I mean, I've had a couple of times where some of them have come to my room to tell me that, coach, we are pumped up, we are ready. A few times I've been to some of them, their rooms, to talk to them, to psych them up. And almost every time I go there, now they have smiles, now they are happy because they still know that there is a chance to qualify.
We'll wrap up the sports segment on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. The show continues right after this.
Lagoon here in Accra has been normalized as a symbol of environmental degradation and waste mismanagement. The government's initiative to dredge the lagoon aimed at tackling the mountain waste problem faces scrutiny as locals express uncertainty about its effectiveness. Appiagyei, a footwear vendor near the lagoon, highlights the shortfall of the dredging exercise, which aimed at addressing the root cause of the waste issue.
The lagoon is being dredged, but I think it's waste of time and resources, because after this exercise, the lagoon will accumulate filth again. The dredging exercise isn't the solution to our waste problems. There's a root cause to the filth which isn't being tackled.
The absence of bins, a crucial location, Mr. Appiagyei says, is forcing residents to resort to dumping waste in gutters.
You will observe that there are no bins in Accra and many other towns. The absence of bins, I believe, is the root cause of the filth which we see everywhere in town. If the government really wants to fight these waste problems, they should provide bins.
Reflecting on the deteriorating sanitation issues in Accra, contrary to the president's pledge to make it the cleanest city in Africa, Mr. Appiagyei placed blame squarely on leadership. He emphasized the normalization of filth in areas like Sodom and Gomorrah, where the stench has become a part of daily life.
There used to be bends at Vantage Point in Accra, and its help kept littering. Now it seems no one cares. I think they should bring back that initiative.
The sentiment expressed by Jay echoes the frustration of many residents who witness the worsening waste crisis without tangible solutions. Despite government's efforts, the underlying issue of waste management remains unresolved, leaving communities grappling with the consequences of environmental neglect. Adobe Asari's reports for Joy News.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Of course, that filth exhibition, everywhere you go, Wahala Day. But, you know, even as we call on authorities and all of that to act, sometimes we need to ask ourselves as well, when it comes to managing filth in our own communities, in our own houses. But moving away from there, we get into the big stories this morning. There is that call for the Attorney General, Godfrey Addo, to resign following some allegations from Richard Jakpa, a defendant in the Akufo-Addo Force and Ambulance case, that the AG has been coercing him to implicate the minority leader. I'll be getting some details of that. Of course, now Nana B, popularly known of the MPP, has also hinted at the fact that he's mentioned a certain Supreme Court justice's name. Then there is the bit about the information being doctored in a way, or some parts being edited. I mean, there are so many things that are being said. But some have also said, like Mr. Ansasari, who is a former director of the Ghana School of Law. He has said that, look, he knows the gentleman. He was one of the finest students at the time, that he cautioned him when he took up this position not to soil his hands, and that, well, maybe this would be a good time to resign. But what do my guests think on this beat? Joining me, we have Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. He's a CDD fellow. He joins me in the studio. I'll be introducing my other guests as well. Professor Appiagyei is a lecturer, Department of Law. So the Faculty of Law, or the School of Law at the University of Ghana. There's Martin Kpebu, a legal practitioner. All of them join the conversation this morning. But let me come into the studio first. For you, you followed this issue. I find it interesting as a student of the law, you know, ruminating on some of the back and forth and the plea bargains and, oh, I had a right to meet him secretly and no, it is not legal practice and you should resign. But bottom line, what is your reading of what this case has brought forth?
Yeah. So for me, it's a very serious allegation against an attorney general. Right? That if you look at what has been reported in the media, essentially I'm reading it as this is a case of quote-unquote, you know, witness tampering or trying to pervert the course of justice.
Witness tampering?
Yes.
Or trying to pervert the course of justice.
Right. And for me, it's a very serious allegation to level against none other than the Attorney General. And rightly so, the Attorney General has responded. The spokesperson for the office has also made an appearance on a couple of media platforms.
You're talking about Isaac Wilberforce.
Yes.
Mensah.
For me, I think though that has sort of even raised further questions in the minds of people like me. But for me, it also comes at a very worrying time, which is how Ghanaians are currently perceiving our institutions of governance. And for me, that is the biggest worry for me. I mean, I don't know what would become of all of this, but the initial implications for me is we are at a time where, if you look at the most recent Afrobarometer, that trust in institutions and growing perceptions of corruption in institutions is at an all-time low. So you are hoping that we don't run into these kinds of news stories, events, issues that reinforce the growing mistrust in our institutions. And so for me, that is what I find very worrying.
Do you think this then puts a dent in that trust as far as, you know, here's the thing. Some people have already felt, even moving away from the political terrain, have already felt that the justicial system is skewed. Skewed against the poor man or the nobody, and for the person with some wealth or a somebody, so to speak, in society. Then there's the political angle of, oh, Supreme Court this, you've heard the things that have been said, and now this also comes. Does it add another layer to that perception and the lack of trust in the justicial system, do you think?
Yes, it does. And in fact, for me, I feel like it puts a much greater dent and even worsens it. You have this current perception, again, going back to Afrobarometer. So you have this growing perception that there's a wide gap between how ordinary persons and what happens to them when they are found of having sort of broken the law versus, you know, people in quote-unquote high places or what. I mean, that it's almost about a 50 percentage point gap now. And so when you read...
Which is wide.
Which is wide. And, you know, one of the things that democracies pride themselves in is the rule of law, right? That the law is no respecter of persons. Big person, small person. Once you are found to have broken the law will deal with you. So when you hear some of these things, that is what it does, right? I mean, the Chief Justice recognizes some of the challenges facing our current judicial system. I think it was about a month ago where she announced this leading justice reforms to address some of the challenges with our judicial system, which I think it's a very good move. But again, hopefully it addresses what we are currently seeing as how people are not just perceiving or feeling about our justice system. Trust is at its lowest, you know. So when, again, these things emerge and you look at the conversations surrounding it, it deepens that, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have that kind of confidence in this institution, which is worrying, because if you can't trust your justice system, then where do you go to resolve grievances? Where do you go to settle disputes? How do you make sure that people get, you know, a fair trial, the due process is... I mean, the implications are, you know, you're talking about a ripple effect on a whole lot of things.
I mean, you're getting me thinking about the Hobbesian, you know, chaotic state of nature, so to speak, which some would say that never existed.
Right.
But where, if I remember my political science and maybe philosophy, where life is poor, nasty, brutish, and short.
Exactly.
Poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Because then, if people have nothing to lose and they feel the laws do not aid them,
exactly,
they would want to go outside of the law. And that is what you want to prevent in a society like ours.
Exactly. That is what you want to prevent. You want to make sure that people walk into the hallways and corridors of our courts with a lot of confidence. Even if they lose a case, they know that due process was followed. They know that they were treated fairly,
justly.
Precisely. A lawyer reminded me on social media that of this saying that justice must be seen to have been done, right? It's not that justice happened, but it also must be seen to have been done. So it's a worrying time. And for me, it's not that there's ever a good time for a bad story, but this is a bad time for a bad story.
Yeah. Now, looking at all these dynamics that you've made mention of, that lends some cold comfort, right? But the other side of it is that recently, for example, my colleague Samson Ladi Anyenene had a conversation with the Chief Justice. You've already spoken about the LEAD initiative and all of that. Some would also tell you that things are not as bad as we see it, and that justices of our, especially the superior courts, you know, the high courts, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, our apex court, by and large, do exceedingly well in going through the matters that mechanisms have been put in place, for example, ensuring that courts are in many more areas to hear cases and all of that. What I do not know, or what maybe has not happened, you know, still the paucity of lawyers, okay, legal representation. across the country. It is woeful. That one will not even get into. Most people have to come to Accra because most of these legal practitioners also want to be in Accra and Kumasi by and large. But there's also something to celebrate. Some would say that we've not hit such a low that we should be lampooning the judiciary in this manner. Would you agree with them?
I mean, I agree that good things are happening. I'm sure on a daily basis our justice system is doing all it can to deliver justice as best as it can, right? All the things that our courts are involved with, that on a daily basis, they are making sure that those things happen. But it also goes without saying that everything is also pointing to low trust, growing perceptions of corruption, right? Which means that there is also something about, in the midst of all the work that is being done, there's still something about the institution that citizens are feeling somewhat iffy about.
Yeah.
And so for me, even as we acknowledge the good that is going on, we cannot afford the luxury of ignoring the warning signals. And as I said, how come that citizens are having this low levels of trust, growing perceptions of corruption, feeling as though the law treats persons in higher places better than ordinary citizens? There has to be something that they are experiencing, or there has to be some actions or inactions of the judiciary that is giving citizens this feeling. The other dimension too is that, and I keep asking myself, I wonder why, when it comes to our institutions, partisans tend to trust our institutions slightly better when they are preferred political parties in power.
Exactly. And a typical example would be the Electoral Commission.
Right. So exactly. So that even adds another dimension to the challenges facing an institution like the judiciary.
Mm. Let me bring in Professor Appiagyei. He's with the School of Law at the university, or the Law School at the University of Ghana. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
It's really good to have you join the conversation. I will take your initial thoughts on this entire development from the standpoint of the ordinary man and from the standpoint of a practitioner, a lecturer of the law. What is your reading of what we have seen and heard so far?
Thank you for having me. I think the issue, when we talk about plea bargaining, it's about an agreement that is entered into between the prosecutor and the defendant in a case, or the accused person, for an agreement to be reached so that the full hog of the legal process will not take place, and the defendant will admit to some wrongs, and there will be a reduction in the charge or in the sentencing or the costs related to the matter in dispute. And so at the end of the day, it comes about through some form of negotiation between the parties, that is the defendant and the prosecutor, where the prosecutor, the defendant has a lawyer. The lawyer will be involved in these arrangements. When the agreement is reached, the deal is struck, then the matter will be reported to the courts, and the court will take that into account in the sentencing or conviction of the accused person. Another reason this comes about, plea bargaining, is brought into the discussion or the process, is the fact that one of the parties, there may be more than one defendant, and there's a key defendant in the case, or the accused person, that maybe the prosecution wants to center its case around. And so the other parties, who are, if you like, the small fishes, may want to volunteer some information which is not directly available to the prosecution, but which may be necessary or relevant to find the defendant or the key accused person or defendant culpable, to give that evidence or to support the prosecution to ensure that some weaknesses in that person's testimony is released to enable that person to be found culpable, and that will make a bigger case for the prosecution than including the smaller fishes in the whole deal. So these are some of the scenarios and situations that come about with regard to plea bargaining.
Right.
Now, linking it to...
Do go ahead. You were making a point.
Linking it to the case we have in hand, it is a little bit complex. In the first place, we don't have all the facts. So some of the facts that we have are one-sided, coming from one side of the prosecution or the defendants. And so it's a little bit difficult to come to a clear conclusion as to the direction the case might go. So it's a matter of saying that if this is what is said, and if that is true, then this is likely to be the conclusion that may come about. And so based on that, among others, the third accused person is saying that the Attorney General sort of cornered him and tried to push him to give evidence that would nail the first accused person, who is a minority leader in Parliament. And if what the third accused is saying is true, then there is some rules relating to the plea bargaining which have been violated, which is that it should be done of the free will of the parties, through the free will of the parties. There shouldn't be any imposition or any way to coerce somebody to give testimony against somebody or to concoct some evidence against somebody. And so that is where I find problematic about the whole saga that we have before us.
Right, and some clarity there. So, I mean, you've already started talking about plea bargaining. For example, the Daily Guide today claims that their sources also confirm, you know, some speakers on the MPP side have said that, oh, we have a video, in fact, of the minority leader attempting to enter some sort of plea negotiation or arrangement with the Attorney General. So let's clarify. What are the do's and don'ts in plea bargaining? Can we situate the context from there?
The do's and don'ts of plea bargaining. One of the do's is that it is something that the laws of Ghana allow. It was limited previously, but there's now an act specifically dealing with plea bargaining. So it is not something wrong to do. Now, it is also allowed for each of the parties in a plea bargaining, in a criminal case, to offer for the plea bargaining, either from the prosecution or the defendants. Another do is that it should take place in an environment which is not induced or coerced. And it should also take place if the accused person in this case has a lawyer. The lawyer should be involved. The lawyer should could initiate the process, and he could decide to speak on the part of his clients.
So then my question, can a client without representation have an interaction with, for example, the AG, the Chief Prosecutor of State, in any setting when it comes to plea bargaining? Now, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah, who speaks for the AG's department, has said that Richard Jakpa had changed lawyers a number of times, about 3 or 4 times. And so at the time there was some interaction with him, it had to be without legal representation, though the claim has also been made and verified from our end that this happened at the residence of and at the request of a certain Supreme Court justice. I don't want to go ahead and mention those details, but would that then make it right if any such overtures were made, and if indeed there was an ask to implicate the minority leader? Would that then be justified?
Well, as it stands now, we don't know the full facts regarding when or whether the third accused had a lawyer at the time he was approached by the AG, or whether actually he approached the AG. I don't know which way it is, or what is the real, the facts that really support that. But the point is that, as I said, each side can initiate the process. What is a little bit concerning for me is the fact that it was initiated by a Supreme Court judge. I think that he's part of the judiciary, and therefore he should have stayed off in this process. Especially
when you say stayed off, you're talking of the Supreme Court judge in question or the AG?
The Supreme Court judge in question.
Okay.
Yes, especially if the facts which are coming out is true, that the AG tried to coerce and to force the third accused to give testimony that would be sort of concocted, and it's meant to ensure that the first accused is convicted and sentenced. It's because in that situation, it could be construed and implied that the Supreme Court judge who offered his space for that interaction to take place is condoning something which is wrong.
Right.
And so, but I guess all these are, if you like, speculative at this point because we don't know the truth. But if what we are saying is true, then the Supreme Court judge would be in violation of the ethics of his profession.
Hold for me, Prof. Let me also bring in a lawyer, Martin Kpebu. Mr. Kpebu, good morning.
Yes, morning, Mr. Akufo.
I hope you're well.
I'm very well. Very well.
I've heard you speak copiously on this matter, and you've made a few points. But as of now, with some of the latest information we have, it's pointing in the direction of a certain Supreme Court justice for reasons I'm sure you understand. I don't want to go ahead and mention the name of this justice of the Apex Court. But then there are also the fineries of dissecting what plea bargaining should be or what it ought to be versus what it ought not to be. What is your reading of the matter so far? And I've painted some pictures, some dynamics in respect of whether or not Richard Jakpa was accompanied by his lawyer and what that would have implied on either end. And this whole conversation purportedly in the residence of a Supreme Court justice, and it's being recorded. I mean, it's a whole envelope of matters. Let's unpack it from your end.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with the Richard Jakpa angle, what we are seeing so far. No, the thing is that to the extent, yes, the law allows for plea bargaining. Nobody doubts that, right? Yes, but the law also circumscribes, gives conditions, etc., for how plea bargaining should be done. Now, the first issue we are looking at is that at the time the Attorney General communicated with Richard Jakpa, why wasn't the lawyer present? We've subsequently
we've been told, Mr. Kpebu, that he had been changing representation, and this was one of those windows. The spokesperson for the AG's department had mentioned that on about 3 or 4 occasions, he had changed lawyers. Have we lost Mr. Kpebu? I think we have. We'll try to get him back to answer that. I just had to clarify that because I couldn't let him go on that point without making the clarity. But coming back into the studio, this makes for quite some curious, I mean, when you look at the names that are being bandied about, especially in the case of a Supreme Court judge being involved, and why we're only hearing now that there was such a recording. As has been situated, plea bargaining is allowed. But how it is done is where the devil is. But let me just, we have Martin Kpebu back. Let me pick his thoughts again, and I'll come back to you. Martin, we lost you briefly. Please continue with your thoughts.
Yes. So the first major question is, at the time the Attorney General communicated with...
Hello, Mr. Kpebu. Mr. Kwebu, can you hear me, please? All right, so it appears we have a bit of a challenge with Mr. Kwebu's connection. We'll try to work on that. The technical team is on it so that we can have a fluid conversation. But I was saying, again, that looking at all of these dynamics and what ought to be and what ought not to be, that's where the devil really is. And even as a student of law, I am looking at it and I am wondering, something is not adding up. Something, let me just leave it there. Something is not adding up. But why did those things happen? For you, I don't know whether the thinking process is the same for you.
Yes, and you know, there's this thing that I coined after reading a piece that Professor Kwesi Prempeh wrote way back in 2005. And I think I've mentioned it on your show before that I call it the legal test versus the appearance test.
Right.
And whenever there is a situation involving public institutions, public officials, I feel like the approach is, okay, like you said, the law permits plea bargaining, there are do's and quote unquote, there are don'ts, right? But we tend to look at things a lot strictly through the legal test. Okay, so did I, quote unquote, break any rules? Did I break any law? And if reasonably it can be determined that, well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with what I did as per the law, then maybe it is okay. But what matters for me and where our public institutions lose confidence and where our public officials tend to get into trouble is what I call the appearance test. Right. The way things look.
The optics.
The optics. And I think sometimes we are a little too oblivious or nonchalant in paying attention to the appearance test and the extent to which we are passing or not passing that appearance test. Right? Because when you look at some of these, at least what we know so far, for me as a lay person, as an ordinary person, you look at it and you say to yourself, something just doesn't look right. Something just doesn't feel right. Maybe nothing untoward happened, but on the face of it, it is some of those iffy feelings you start getting that then starts translating into how you start feeling about public institutions and about public officials. And I think if our institutions and those who man them or those who are custodians of it would start paying attention to how certain actions and inactions, when eventually they come out, look and feel to citizens, I think we'll be a little more sensitive and a little more careful in the kinds of things that we engage in, even if we believe that doing those things may not, on the surface of it, break the law.
Right, and that's a tricky bit to navigate. Let me just acknowledge as well, Ankuma Kwesi Teria, you say, Ben, I'm watching live from Chiba City near Tokyo, Japan. So we're representing in Japan today. Thanks for watching. Mr. Kwebu, my apologies. The connection has not been that good this morning, but I'll allow you to make your thoughts. Let's try one more time.
Okay, yeah, so I mentioned that the first point is that why would the Attorney General engage JAPA directly? We are hearing that at that time, JAPA did not have a lawyer. It doesn't wash because so far the Attorney General hasn't brought any evidence out to show that JAPA did not have a lawyer.
But on the face of it, would it be wrong for the Attorney General to engage Richard Jakpa in the absence of a lawyer, for him to engage him alone? Would it have been wrong?
Yes, absolutely. Because the plea bargaining law, you see that section 162 in section A to R, one of them makes it clear that when the accused is represented by a lawyer, then the Attorney General the prosecution should deal with that lawyer. And the reason is obvious. Generally, the client, the accused, doesn't have as much knowledge. That's why he is late. That person is late. Even when the person is a lawyer, look, when they put you on the stand, when you are in a criminal trial, the way you would think is different. That's why if you have a lawyer, the court says, hey, deal with the lawyer. So the Attorney General breached the law, for me, right now, looking at it, to the extent that he hasn't brought out any evidence to show that Japa was not represented.
But shouldn't you be waiting, I mean, patiently before you issue a verdict on the matter? You're stating categorically that you feel the AG erred. But let me ask you, would it have made any difference if it were the AG, Richard Jakpa, without representation, and a Supreme Court justice? Would it have made any difference with the addition of that justice?
Yes. Now, with the addition of the justice, it opens another angle, another problem. You have something talking about the ethics of the judge. The judge has no business trying to solve that problem. No. He's not allowed to. A pending criminal case, no, he's not been appointed as a mediator, so to speak, to help in the investigations. No. Rather, it's contrary to his ethics. It's contrary to his ethics. It cannot be allowed. So that even makes it worse, that you have two professionals, two lawyers, against one, lay person, right? Yeah, so it's very dangerous. It doesn't matter that, it may appear that the judge was trying to help the accused. No, once he wears the cap of a judge, formally he's a judge, no, it makes the situation worse. Because he's not supposed to dabble in such pending cases, not with what they were concerned with, trying to do a plea bargaining at that odd venue.
Now, speaking of which, I have read from some instances, for example, the former director of the Ghana School of Law, in terms of some processes that should have been followed and where this could have been done. Legally speaking, just clarify for me 2 points. In such plea bargain arrangements, is the location an issue in point? Is it important where this happens? Some have said it should have happened in the chambers, at the Attorney General's and other specific places, not within the parameters of the House of a Justice of the Apex Court. That is point one. And then point number two, the Daily Guide is claiming that it has gathered that there had been incessant pressure piled on the AG by Attoforsen to discontinue the case. My second question is, could this be true? Can the AG be pressured to do anything in this kind of setting? 2 questions for you.
Okay, good. So the first one, yes, when we point to we look at the plea bargaining law, there's section 162, which is the amendment to the Criminal Offences Act. So this plea bargaining law is Act 1079. You don't find an express provision, right, saying that it cannot be in the house of a judge. But you heard what Dr. Kwapon also said, the appearance test. It makes it very odd, very, very tacky. Besides, you had Mr. Ansas, former director of the Ghana School of Law, how he narrated how Justice Emisa lost his position as Attorney General because of the similar meet in the House, right? So it tells you that in our jurisdiction here, even in the absence of an express act of Parliament, we have our own soft law, which we implement. That look, don't do plea bargaining in the house of a sitting Supreme Court judge. That is our soft law, and from the 70s. So if we cannot implement it today, then it means that we are losing our way. Because if in the 70s, that was long ago, over 40 years ago, we could mark such a conduct as illegal, not acceptable, it's against our morals and ethics in Ghana, then it beggars believe that 40-something years on, we cannot implement that same rule when we are supposed to be making progress. That's tightening the ethics rules. So that's it for this. So I strongly believe that to the extent that the negotiations went on there in the House of the Supreme Court judge, apply the Emisa rule. It means that the Attorney General should go.
Right. Yeah, on the second point, second point of whether the AG can be pressured, what's your reaction?
Yes. Look, Mr. Akapo, let's speak bluntly about that particular one.
Right.
It happens all the time. Oh, you find a mystery. Even we go, AG, this one, don't prosecute it. There's no evidence, this. So that one is normal business, so to speak. Because the thing you call pressure, it's also a form of plea bargaining, because you're trying to draw the Attorney General's eyes or his attention to deficiencies in his case. So the thing we call the pressure, lots of it is actually informal plea bargaining, because usually we approach the Attorney General to show that, look, this place, you don't have evidence here, you don't have this here, it's a political witch hunt, this. So it's normal. So I wouldn't be surprised if Akufo-Addo went to him. It's normal. But it's a different kettle of fish when an accused is saying that the Attorney General tried to suborn him to perjure, give false testimony to the court. That is the one that is obviously a crime. So you
okay, so you've answered that. You've answered that and you say it's a crime. But the real question was, can the AG be pressured in the sense of, yes, some will try to apply pressure, but can the AG be pressured to act in any specific way? That's what I want to, as Attorney General. Is that a possibility?
Oh, it's the stock in trade of all the government. Usually you put pressure on the Attorney General.
Right.
Oh, it's stock in trade.
Okay.
So this one, you can see that the party higher-up want Akufo-Addo convicted, because Akufo-Addo is a thorn in their flesh.
Right.
You see, he's minority leader, so if they can get him convicted, that would be a more or less a fatal blow to the NDC. That your minority leader is in jail for what? Causing financial loss, etc. You are not fit. NDC is not fit to come back.
Right.
So that one is very clear. Why, Mr. Akapo, why do you think he's refusing to accept the money from Big C? When Big C wants to return this money to us, the money for the ambulance, which money we badly need, yet you see Dami say, no, they are not interested in the money. It's because of the political witch hunt, because of that political vendetta.
But you're stating categorically you think it's a political witch hunt.
Absolutely.
Okay,
without batting an eyelid.
Right. Mr. Kwebu, hold for me. Right. So, Prof, Mr. Kwebu thinks it's a political witch hunt. But you have to look at the other side, because while he suggests that it could be this because, look, I mean, the minority leader is a thorn in the flesh of the NPP, you can also look at it from the other side. Some have said that even while the current Attorney General, Godfrey Adami, was a deputy, he was a thorn in the flesh of the NDC. In fact, most of those court cases, he was on them. And that since that time, they have been trying to target him, bring him down, that his vetting was one of the longest when he was being made a substantive minister. So to say that there is cause, justifiable cause for the NDC to be going down this road, which is what brings me to my next question, Prof. Why now? This Dr. Atto-Forson incident has been with us for a number of years. Why now? Do you agree with Kwebu that it's a political witch hunt? I want us to look at the political versus the justicial optics. Why now? Your response will be what?
Well, I beg to differ somehow from Mr. Kwebu with regard to the pressure that is being mounted or could be mounted on the Attorney General. I think that we have to look at things from the fact that we don't have all the facts, and so we should avoid a little bit of conjecture. And it's also clear that if the first accused actually went to see the Attorney General to sort of try to kill the case, I think that is also wrong. It will be an attempt to influence the outcome of the case. So in that respect, I think that if that is proven that happened, then the first accused person may also have a case to answer. Now, the political hunt, which, as I'm saying, is a little bit of a conjecture. I think, for me, I would just look at it as coming from a lawyer, and my take on this is that let's look at the facts. If it seems to be clear on the face of it that what the Attorney General did is wrong, subject to the information or the facts we have been conferred. And as to whether it's a political witch hunt, I'll not be able to respond directly to that. Now, so having said that, the point I want to make is that because some of the information that we have has not been responded to by the other side, we need to be a little bit careful how we make conclusions. Having said that, I want to be clear and say that if these facts that are coming out are true, then the Attorney General shouldn't wait to be told what to do, or there shouldn't be, some are calling for a probe and so on. The Attorney General should do the humble thing and just resign, actually, so that it will serve as a means of supporting the integrity of the judicial process as a whole. Because
but what if the Attorney General does not feel he has erred in the matter, and we've known his posturing over time? You are saying, regardless of it, to save the face of the institution, he should resign?
Definitely, definitely. So I support the call coming from Mr. Ansansari, that he has to do the honorable thing and just resign. And that will save the image of the Attorney General's office, which is a very high office. If you look at Code 88, it is solely responsible for prosecution of cases. And so if the office is tainted in any way, it affects the kind of cases that they bring about and to prosecute. So he should do the honorable thing and resign. If the facts coming out, he knows it, that it is true or not. Because my other concern is that he knows the law. He is the one responsible for drafting the law, and when it came to place, he organized training sessions and so on for the judiciary, some lawyers and so on. So he knows the law. So there can't be a situation where he can excuse himself that, oh, I'm sorry I erred, or I'm sorry I did this in which was against the law. So for that matter, he should do the honorable thing and resign. And that is what I would say. If he doesn't, then the responsibility now shifts to the president to do the honorable thing and sack him.
Do you honestly expect that could happen? I mean, first off, do you expect that Godfred Yeboah-Dame would resign? And do you expect that if he doesn't, the president would go ahead and replace him?
Well, from the records, it doesn't seem so. But I think that to bring credibility to the office, that's what he has to do. And if he doesn't do that, the president should also go ahead and protect the credibility and integrity of the office of the Attorney General. And if that doesn't also work, again, the record seems to show that it may not. But you never know. But if it doesn't, there are other options and avenues available. A parliamentary probe is possible. That could also be undertaken. Or special commissions of inquiry can also be set up to do that. And I think that we shouldn't let this matter rest, because it goes high up there to the level of the Attorney General's office. And so something needs to be done. This is not a prosecution by a case involving a prosecution from a police station or a lower level, but high up there. So if we really want our legal system to be respected, the criminal justice system to have that kind of credibility, then something needs to be done. Either the AG resigns, or he's sacked by the president, or a commission of inquiry is set up, or some probe undertaken to ensure that the whole issue is unraveled and we get to the bottom of it. So at the end of the day, justice is served. Because the issue also around the $2 billion or euros that was offered to
2 million euros.
It's also concerning, because the whole debt saga involved in this matter, the cost is about a little more than 2 billion euros. So if that is the essence of plea bargaining. If somebody who is even a non-accused person, but is connected somehow to the case, says, I want to settle this amount. Again, if that is proven to be true, if that is the case, then certainly the Attorney General faulted or didn't do his work well, because at the end of the day, it's about being able to retrieve the cost. That is a new element involved in criminal justice. It's not just about punishing and sentencing, but it's also about retrieving costs and lowering costs. That is even the essence of the plea bargaining.
Right.
You don't want to go to the full process because you can cut costs by entering into some deals which are allowed under the law. And so that is my take on this.
Prof, hold for me. I'll come to you for one final bite. But that is the curiosity, because this message that comes through from Daniel Gnari, I hope I've not butchered your name. You're watching from France. You say, and I'll cut to the chase, why didn't he, that is the Attorney General, accept the 2 million euros that were proposed to him by the company that supplied the ambulances? He refused to accept it, and you say simply because he wanted to do anything possible to jail certain people. And Dr. Kwapong, when you talk of the optics, these are some of the things. Prof is saying that we shouldn't let this matter rest. The AG should resign honorably, and if not, the president should relieve him of his duties. What happens if neither of these two people act in the way we expect? And the president himself is a lawyer. And I'll just add to this. Ansar Sari says, and he is former head director of the Ghana School of Law, he says, Mr. Dame is experienced and well aware of the law. Therefore, meeting with an accused person to enter into a plea bargain in the manner that it has been reported, and if that proves true, raises questions. And he says, quote, my candid opinion is that the learned Attorney General knows or is deemed to know the law. Apart from the judges, I think the other person we can see the law rests in his bosom is the Attorney General. So where do we go from here? Are you also in support of a resignation?
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
Right. But I still think that if there are any additional facts to be unearthed, I still think that this is something that must really be looked into, because the consequences are quite damning. I mean, to think of the fact that this can potentially even taint the case.
Exactly.
You know, especially if these accused persons are convicted, right? Would it leave that hanging clouds and doubts as to...
Would it be viewed as as justice having been served, indeed?
Precisely, right? So it's a matter that must be fully probed, must be fully looked into. All the facts, you know, are unveiled. We just can't turn a blind eye and let this die. Now, as to what the ultimate consequences becomes for the Attorney General, I think for me, I want a little bit of time and events to see what would come out. At this point, for me, I just want to give the AG a little bit of a benefit of the doubt and trust his better angels, right? That he was not or intended to be involved in anything untoward. At this point, I want to grant him that. But I think with more, as the story unveils, should it come to the point where it is really shown that, look, this just again doesn't look right, and that some infractions were really done or occurred along the way, then I think there has to be that ultimate consequence of, for the sake of the institution, for the sake of the office, and for the sake of public confidence and trust, it would be the right thing.
So give me a straightforward answer on this. Do you feel by all of what is happening, the office has been tainted? Not necessarily the person, but the office?
Yes.
You feel it has?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Kwebu, you have the final word in about a minute. What will be your final words? I know for you want him to resign, right?
Absolutely. He's wasting time. Listen, Mr. Akafu, if the AG had a better case than what he put out now, he would have brought it.
But don't you want to be well versed with all the facts, like Dr. Kwapon is saying? Like, I mean, there's been talk about some videos and audio files. Don't you want to see everything before you come to a conclusion?
No, we've already seen enough for him to go. One, the emitter rule, so the venue in the house of a sitting Supreme Court judge, that alone is enough for him to go. Justice Emitter had to go as Attorney General. You heard the director of the law school. So that's done. That's done. The EMISA rule alone is sufficient. 2, he has embarrassed the Supreme Court judge, and the Supreme Court judge who has something to answer for meddling in this case. So for going, as soon as he went in there, he said he went to see the Supreme Court judge. So when Japa came in and they sought to continue the conversation, he was supposed to pull out.
Right.
So once he did it, please, the rules have been breached, the ethics rules. So the judge himself to have a case to answer. So based on this, you see, the more we continue the discussion, it's going to drag the Supreme Court down. The Supreme Court already is not too popular in Ghana, okay, in the recent past because of certain decisions. So this particular case, the more we continue, drag the court down. So Dami has to keep quickly so that we can then stop these discussions.
Right.
By Saturday, people will throw it against the court to be possible for to recover.
All right. Mr. Pebu,
he just right quickly before it gets, you resign quickly because the discussion is going to go on and on and on. You see the end?
All right. Mr. Pebu, I think we've got the thrust of your argument. You say the discussion will go on and on and on, and he should resign quickly. Only time will tell whether that will happen. Prof, I did say I would come back to you. I'm giving you 30 seconds, final thoughts before we draw the curtains. 30 seconds, Prof. Any final thoughts for us?
I think the plea bargaining idea is a good one, and we need to uphold it. And to be able to do so, we need to ensure that something is done about the way the whole process with regard to this particular case has been scandalized. So I'm hoping that the facts will come out, and at the end of the day, we'll ensure that justice is served for the defendants, and then the name or the integrity of the office of the Attorney General also be protected. And that will mean the resignation if he knows the facts, and so he should act on that if that is true, or a sacking or a probe being instituted. Thank you.
It's pretty clear, but you said something I missed. You said something had been scandalized. What has been scandalized?
The plea bargaining process.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. So those who joined us for this conversation, Professor Appiagyei, my former lecturer in public international law, he's lecturer Department of Law, or better still, the law school at the University of Ghana. Thank you for joining. We also had Martin Pebu, a lawyer, and in the studio, CDD fellow, Dr. John Osai Kwapong. We're grateful that you made the time. And yet, Uber studio, so we are grateful. We're grateful you passed through today. Well, stay with us, because up next, we're going to be talking about a crucial issue for those who ply the Dawhenya Tema stretch. Residents, motorists alike, the stretch is one filled with frustration. It's a never-ending gridlock, day and sometimes in the evening, leading into the night. We are there today to bring you more, to explore the ways forward as we engage the Ghana Highway Authority. That conversation comes to you next on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back on the AM show. Now let's turn our attention to roads. In this conversation, we'll look at residents and motorists who ply the Dawhenya to Tema motorway runabout stretch of the N1, and they say they're frustrated with a never-ending daily gridlock. The congestion has worsened in recent weeks due to major potholes that have surfaced near the TT Brothers traffic lights and the Bone Junction. Similarly, motorists who ply the N2 between the Michelle Camp and the Shaman roundabout lament the relentless gridlock they grapple with on a daily basis. The stretch between the Shaman roundabout and the Tulaku has worsened, causing even more delays day and night. Here's a footage, and then we'll return back to the studio for the conversations.
It's 3:35 p.m. on a Sunday, a time when the N1 should be free of traffic. But that's not the case. Severe gridlock stretches from the TT Brothers traffic light to the Boom barrier, with motorists moving at a snail's pace. The cause is this massive pothole in the middle of the Tema-bound lane. Frustrated motorists heading to Tema from Dawhenya could not hide their anger.
2 hours now, almost 2 hours now. So look at the road. Look at the road. 2 hours from Kombaria? 2 hours from Kombaria.
From Kombaria, well, you're taking us almost 30 minutes. Even that one, we have to use a bypass. Some illegal routes because we have some very urgent appointments. Yeah, I think that the runabout, there are a number of potholes at the runabout is causing some backlog. And then, like you are seeing, this very place, it's a very long one, very thick one. Here is an everyday thing, you know. Here in Kaswa, we are the most renowned known traffic areas in the country. We are suffering very much. People leave as early as 4-something a.m. If you move after 5 p.m., you will definitely be late to work. I'm telling you, my brother, we are just in a kind of hell.
You'll be in the traffic 2 hours. You spend more than 200 amount of fuel, which is very bad. So they have to look about those things so that they fix the road quickly. Yeah. So we beg the government to work on this thing. It's very bad. This road have taken more than 4 years without fixing it. It's very bad.
And we've been in this traffic for about 1 hour. So this is 3 years of road. After 3 years of road, we are experiencing this. What a shame. I don't have anything to say. What a shame. What would you say to the Ghana Highways Authority, the government, about the state of this road? We have nothing to tell them. They're intelligent. They've been to school. We don't have anything to tell them. They should just look at it and do the right thing. Seriously, I don't want to use some words. It's better.
You use this road often?
Yes. You just show them the road. Show them, video this, and let people see. Because when you talk about it, sometimes they think you are doing politics. And it's a shame. This is a shame. How many years of independence? This is a shame. So shame on them, all of them. Shame on them. You have to wake up early, else you can't make it to work. You waste your time, your life on the road. It's a shame.
Right before my eyes, this red Corolla with registration number GR6974-12 was rear-ended by this Pajero. The Corolla's driver blamed the accident on the deplorable state of the road.
Because of this manhole, we are all dodging this thing. That's why. So I think this manhole caused the problem.
Francis Owonu, a daily commuter, claimed drivers have decided to buy this laterite to fill the potholes since the government seems unconcerned about their plight.
I'm staying in Dawhenya, and all the way from Dawhenya to Kombaria here, and in fact, it's so tough for us to, reach motorway runabout because of this small this thing that you are seeing here, the road that you are seeing here. All the places are spoiled. So, we don't know how to do it. We are all, sometimes we all organize ourselves. Even the gravel you are seeing here, we contribute some money to even pour these things over here. The drivers, yes, we the drivers contribute money to pour this gravel over here to fill the road.
While the news team was filming, 3 ride-hailing drivers suddenly appeared with shovels, parked their vehicles, and started filling the potholes with the laterite. They explain their actions.
Every day I use this road because you see this one, there is no car for here. There is nobody this one for us. So we ourselves do it. As you can see, you see, I park my car over there. It's my friend. So we are doing it on ourselves.
The reason is because of, as you can see, the hole, and it caused a lot of traffic. And so because of that, we wanted to fill it so that the traffic will flow, that we can also do our work. So that's why we are filling this.
But it's supposed to be done by the Ghana Highways Authority.
Yes, but now we are trying to do something that will help the youth, not the government, because we sit down and we can see that the government wants to help the youth. And we are suffering. We are facing challenges. So now we are trying to do the best in ourselves.
Another massive pothole at the Pom barrier causes daily gridlock on the Dawhenya-bound stretch. The stalled expansion project is worsening congestion on the stretch.
This heavy pothole you see here is the reason why drivers from the Pom barrier area are spending hours in traffic traversing this distance, which can take them averagely a minute or 2. Those I have been speaking with have been telling me they've been spending hours from Kombaria to this very spot
and if you can see in front of me is free, and it is because of this pothole that's why this traffic is being experienced. And so the drivers are calling on the Ghana Highways Authority to, as a matter of urgency, fix this pothole to enhance free movement of vehicles on the road. Reporting from the Titi Brothers end of the N1 on the Dawhenya Road, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
This is the current state of the Ashaiman roundabout to Michelle Camp Road. In October 2020, President Akufo-Addo cut short for the 64-kilometer Ashaiman to Akosombo Road dualization project. 4 years later, not even 1 kilometer has been completed, leaving the road in worse condition. Here are some regular users sharing their experiences with Joy News.
It's becoming very frustrating. Imagine me, a nursing mother, a mother of twins, having to go to work, spend 2 to 3 hours to just commute from work to the house. It's becoming frustrating. We are pleading with the government to come and help. Just, if not dualize the road, just polish it so that it will be a bit convenient for us to commute to and from work.
What sin have we committed? What sin at all have we committed? Look at the road. Look at the road. Are we not Ghanaians? Are sure not part for Ghana? What is happening in this country? Please, 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 we beg.
How long does it take usually? The traffic situation
I stay around Shire Hills. Because of this place, it can take you 2 hours to cross when you come in the morning. It's not easy. So please, let's do something about this.
But we are told that the president cut short for the expansion of this road.
5 years ago. 5 years ago. Even the stone that will drop here, it's missing. So please, let's do something for us. We are suffering.
In fact, I'm coming from just Afarawa Junction, just here. And it has taken me, looking at the time here, it has taken me almost 45 minutes from Afarawa Junction just here to this place. And it's very horrible. Please, the authority should do something about the road for us.
It's over 45 minutes now from the military camp there. My name is Togbe Ziga, Paramount Chief of Tabibe Traditional Area. Yeah, I'm even wondering, my car is getting overheat. I don't know what's going on. The traffic is very serious. And the big potholes is also the problem of the day. I think so. There are some big, I'm telling you, they are very deep. So you have to slow down very, very well before you can pass through.
Tell the government, tell Akufo-Addo to come and fix the road.
Okay, tell us, how long does it take you to cross from Michelle Camp to this point?
4 hours. Are we going to hell?
Okay.
Tell the president and the road minister to come and fix the road.
The road is so horrible that it's not easy. We have to go to workshop almost every week. Please, the government should intercede. We are struggling on this road, please.
The traffic challenge, as you can see, we can't go because of this and you already mentioned potholes. It's not be potholes. This one it's like it's more than potholes. You keep suffering here, going up and down here. People, so you have to keep your time. With the small cars, they'll be scratching, they'll be bursting their sump and things all the time. So I think the government should come and do some small asphalt from, let me say, from the roundabout to this place where Afarawa, yes.
Let me just ride on that man saying that 4 hours, are we going to hell? But that's the nature of our roads now. But of course, we're going to get into the conversations. Benjamin Akakpo is here in the studio with me. We will engage some regular road users before we go to the authorities. But Benjamin, recall back in 2019, residents of Dawhenya took to the streets, bent car tires, blocked the roads in a protest, in a way to get government to fix this problem. I think just about a year after that, then the contract was awarded to some UK-based firm, BHM, in September 2020, to design and construct the 17 kilometers road for that same stretch. And 4 years later, this is still the situation we find ourselves in.
That stretch is not, it is not new to me. I used to work in the Pram area. That was my nightmare every day. Recently, I went to Esuchwari, and trust me, I mean, some portions of that stretch leading into, it is mind-boggling. And I remember at a point, I just got tired of being in the vehicle. And then when you connect from the main road heading towards Esuchwari, there's a name of that community, I've forgotten. I mean, the frustration, the sheer frustration, it drains you. Imagine driving to work 4 hours.
Are you going to help?
4 productive hours spent commuting to work. And that is just maybe in. Then you go and work, then out. I mean, it's crazy.
Let's not even talk about the waist pain that it would bring you.
It's a frustration that you can't imagine. And that stretch, I don't know, but we can get into the conversation now with some of our guests. Do we have Mohamed Diko on the conversation, or should we rather... Mohamed Diko, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. So you use the Tema Community 25 stretch, that is TT Brothers Traffic Light Road daily. And I'm familiar with that place. What is your experience like on a daily basis?
Well, I will not say I'm using it daily. That would be a lie. Because, during the weekends, we want to go to Pram. Sometimes you want to use the road to go to it. So we have to limit our usage of the road because of this traffic condition. And it's really terrible. Like you said, if you are to spend, somebody said 4 hours. Imagine you are spending 4 hours in, 4 hours out. That's 8 hours of your life on this road. So multiply that 8 hours of your life. If you are supposed to go in and out 5 times a week, just do the calculation and see how your life is being wasted on this road. And this is a crime, seriously. This is also part of the mismanagement of the economy, because when you waste people's life like that on the road, the productivity is already affected. Productivity in the country is affected. Because these people are working for Ghana. They are working hard to help the economy in Ghana. But they're wasting 4 hours in, 4 hours out. They are tired when they get to work. How productive are they? That is one, you see. And we are not talking about the fuel we are wasting on the road, because all this is, you see, if you are suffering economically, it's because this is part of it. It's a shame already that we don't have, as ECOWAS, we don't have a good train system that will link all the countries, or have a good railway system in our various countries so we can move easily, so we don't have to use our cars. But at least fix the road. This simple road can be fixed. Okay, I'm sure that during the campaign, they will feel it, they will pretend to be fixing it. And that is another crime, because if you pretend to fix the road, you are wasting money. Okay, fix the road. A good road, if I am not mistaken, is supposed to last for at least 50 years. So if you do a road that will last only 1 year, you are a criminal. Excuse me, but that's the only thing I can think of. You are a criminal. Because it means you've used part of the money for yourself, and you use just a bit of that money to fix the road. And you didn't fix the road because this problem is going to come back again in a year.
Right. So that's how you feel. And we all share in your pain when we have to use such stretches. I mean, imagine doing that for some people on a daily basis. I've already got a hashtag from you, fix the roads. That's hashtag fix the roads. But what kind of impact is this having on your health when you have to use these roads? You've spoken about the health of your vehicle and spare parts, but how about your health as a human being?
As a human being, I don't drive on this road without my AC on. I always close my windows and put the AC on, because imagine swallowing all this smoke on the road. That is one. And like I said, you're wasting your life on the road. You are frustrated.
And
you are
on
the road for 4 hours.
The dust.
Yes, the dust. And so I always keep my windows up and the AC on. So I'm burning fuel to save my life. You see, how about those who cannot do that? You end up at the hospital with kidney problems, and then you go there and you hear that dialysis price has gone up. It's as if you are in hell, like the other guy said.
Well, let's bring in Lincoln Kukubo, who's also a regular user of the road. Lincoln, you're also a construction engineer, so I'm sure you have a bit, an appreciation from another angle of how bad these roads are. Can you narrate your deal to me when you use this road? How does it feel? Lincoln, please unmute if you can hear me.
It's actually terrible. It's actually terrible. Because we're just talking about just less than 2 kilometers of road. And interestingly, I'm live here right now. I left home around 6 o'clock with my car. I had to just go back and park the car. And I'm asking myself, what is the problem? So I had to go with a motorbike. I've gotten to the Ashaiman roundabout only to realize that there is a trailer road. A trailer overturned on the road. Just take a look at it right now. I'm live here. I am live right now at the Ashaiman roundabout. Take a look at this. The police has to come to restore order here right now. What is happening in this country? This road, as much as I remember, before the 2016 election, the president came over and gave a promise that he was going to dualize this road. But look at what it is right now. In 2020, the same promises came over. There was a carton of salt for this road to be constructed. Why? Are we in hell? Are we in hell? Look at this road. Less than 2 kilometers of road from Appiagyei to just Ashaiman roundabout. Look at what is happening here right now. Man-hour is being wasted. Man-hour is wasted. As at the time they were going to have the election, some people just came to resurface.
Lincoln.
Yes, please.
Do you have any idea what actually caused that accident, that vehicle to collapse?
From my interactions with the people, at 12 a.m. or 12 midnight, there's an overturn here because of the potholes. This is not even a pothole. This is a manhole. Just take a look. This is where exactly the trailer overturned. Look at this here. This is what we are experiencing right now in Ashaiman roundabout. The police had to come in to restore this kind of decency in traffic movement. This is so terrible. This is what we face every day. Every day. I ply this road every day. Even when I'm going to church on Sunday, the same situation is here.
Lincoln, just clarify this
so terrible.
For me. Lincoln, if you can hear me, I just want clarity.
I can hear you very well.
You were told that maybe it's the pothole that caused the truck to overturn. Or is it that you have confirmation? Maybe you've spoken to the police or something, just for the sake of clarity.
No, interestingly, my brother, you and I ply road. If a road is well surfaced, we don't expect this to happen. Take a look. This is a manhole here, and definitely this is going to balance the truck. This is going to balance the truck. Just take a look. You don't need anybody who is into whatever, what do you call it, police to tell you that this definitely is the reason for the cost of the overturn. You don't need anybody to tell you, my dear brother.
We can see the pothole there, but I want to believe that we will speak to some authorities right here on the show, but if the government could hear you, or the Ghana Highway Authority could hear you right now, and since this road has been awarded about 4 years ago, what is your message to them?
I don't think the Ghana Highways is expecting people living in this community to get up and demonstrate on this road before they wake up. That is not what we are expecting them to realize before they wake up to their senses. How much is it going to cost to fix just a 200 or 300 kilometer road? Meters road. We are not even talking about a meter in terms of the actual damage area, a kilometer. We are not talking about that. We are just talking about 300 meters of road. How much is it going to take government to just fix this road? Please, what I want to tell the Ghana Highways is that we as citizens living in this stretch of road demand the fair share of our rights. The road should be fixed. Basically, that is what we are talking about. You have no idea how frustrated commuters are on this road. You have no idea. We are just sitting on a time bomb.
Thank you, Lincoln, and thank you for bringing us that update live from the grounds. Now, let's speak to Engineer Emmanuel Lai Odai. Or do we have Engineer online with us? If you can hear me, please unmute.
Yeah.
Right.
Good morning.
Engineer Lai Odai, good morning. Have you been following the conversation to this point? Do you see the footages that was just shown us live from the Ashaiman Road?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, please.
How does it make you feel?
Yes, please.
How does it make you feel?
Yeah. Very bad. Very bad.
And what do you have to say about all of that? Because you're a manager at the Ghana Highway Authority, a maintenance manager. Greater Accra Regional Maintenance. This falls directly within your catchment area.
Okay, I'm the Regional Highway Director.
Right.
And yes, it's not as easy as being perceived. However, I will still plead with the public. And then
Engineer, you just started. This is Benjamin in the studio. The way you started, it's not easy as perceived. I just want to have you situate for us. When you say it's not easy as perceived, people pay taxes. People pay taxes so their roads will be fixed. You are in office to conduct certain activities. So I don't get it when you say it's not as easy as it seems. Please explain to us.
Yes. You know, the roads have been awarded and the contractors are at site. But unfortunately, we all know what has happened within the road sector due to these IMF conditionalities. And so we have engaged the contractors severally to at least maintain the road as part of the conditions thereof. However, they are also adamant. And so we wanted to engage our the maintenance unit from Suhum, but they are currently working at the central region. So from there, they will come and tackle the two sections.
Are you saying the same contractors who have been contracted to fix these roads here in Accra are the same contractors working in Sunyani?
No, I'm saying we have the mobile maintenance unit based in Suhum. And usually they do emergency works. You know, with the onset of the rain, we usually have most of these things happening, most potholes coming up. It's a maintenance issue. And some of these areas need proper drainage system. And the reason why it has been awarded a contract. You cannot easily go in and then do things that have been awarded already. But when it comes an emergency, then we come in.
So as we speak, what is the state of that contract then? If you cannot go in to fix something that someone has been contracted to do, what is the state of the contract? Because the road needs to be fixed. Someone has been giving that order to do that. What's the state of it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm driving and people are disturbing with calls.
And I was just about to pinpoint, Engineer Odai, please, if you can, for your safety and for the purposes of our show, if you could just park somewhere briefly so we have this conversation. In a few minutes, we'll let you go. Your life is crucial. So
that's great. I've just done that.
All right. A question was being posed by Sweetie. I think, I don't know whether you got it because I'll come through with others. Sweetie.
Yeah, you said that it's maintenance work and you cannot come in to fix something that someone has been contracted to do. I'm asking, what's the state of that contract right now as we speak?
Yeah, currently, because of the IMF conditionalities, those projects have stalled. And so, talks are far advanced that they will come very soon. But in the interim, like I said, we want our mobile maintenance unit to fix those two areas. But unfortunately, we have it.
Engineer Odai, you know, just clarify for me. One, you say IMF conditionalities. It's a broad statement to make. I don't know what you mean by IMF conditionalities. Is the IMF saying we shouldn't finance the construction of these roads? That is one. Then two, previously you had said that you had engaged the contractor on this road. The contractor had been adamant. That is the word you used. I have a question. Has the contractor been paid?
No, the contractor has not been paid.
So that is where the devil is. The devil is not with the fact that the contractor is being adamant. The devil is in the detail of the fact that the contractor has not been paid.
I don't want to stretch this because it has a lot of details. And if we can discuss this thing now here. The problem now is about the current situation. And so, like I said earlier, I equally feel bad. I mean, I told you from the beginning that I'm extremely feeling...
I'm sorry, but respectfully, how you feel on this matter is not of any real consequence. It is what is happening on the roads and how those using the stretch suffer, really. I mean, how I feel, how you feel does not really matter. The people plying the road every day and suffering the consequences, that's what we have to address. The feelings don't matter. You made mention of the IMF conditionalities. Can you point out why they are a problem stalling the work? Hello, Engineer Odai.
Yes.
You mentioned IMF conditionalities. Can you point to us how it is stalling
And
the
I'm
work?
saying that to discuss this thing is a lengthy one. So all that I'm saying, is just to summarize it, I'm saying that the contractors have stalled work because of the conditionalities now. We are the talks are far advanced. They will soon come to site. And that is all I can say for now. But when we come to the substantive issue, which is the portals that have developed, we are bringing in the maintenance unit, the mobile maintenance unit, to fix it. I believe by Friday they should be in, because I've mentioned the emergency of it. I'm in talk with the portal patching contractors to see if we can help before, currently there is some procurement ongoing. The process is here to come to fruition before they can go onto the road.
Right. So there are a number of things happening right now in an attempt to fix the situation. You say the maintenance team will arrive on Friday. So how soon do we expect some sort of normalcy or some sort of work to be done for this road to be at least pliable by residents?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this guy... See how they will help
I lost your beginning statements. Please, let's do this again.
Pardon me?
Please go again. I lost you there for a second. What did you say?
Yeah, I'm saying that, like I said earlier, I'm in talk with one other contractor to see how best he can help us with the situation. He's one of the reliable portal contractors. So once he agreed, and I've written to the ministry.
Okay. Do you have money for that?
Pardon me?
Do you have a budget for that? Since the contractor has abandoned the work because he's not been paid, this maintenance work, this temporary work that you're going to do, do you have budget for that? Are you going to pay so that it's actually done?
Currently, there is some procurement process going on for the routine maintenance works. Okay. And I believe by next week, we should get approval. And then I can, so I want to kickstart before the approval comes. But I needed approval from my superiors before going ahead. And once it's an emergency, I believe it will be granted.
Engineer Odai, we're grateful for your thoughts on this matter and for actually taking the time to park. We've actually truncated your journey a bit, but we're grateful for your time. Let me also just make this announcement very quickly. We had a caller making mention of the fact that in Odokum roundabout, I hope I got that right, in Dodowa, there's a burst pipe, and this is for the Ghana Water Company Limited. They are trying to reach you, they can't, so they are using this medium to get to you. If you could send the authorities there to work on the situation. I hear there's a major spillage of water on that stretch. That is Odokum roundabout in Dodowa. We want to get into that. But, matter day for town.
Benjamin.
You could feel the frustration of, and thankfully now, I mean, this was part of why I left that job at the time, because I just couldn't take, by the time I got home from Pram Pram, right? I remember there were days when I would literally just kick my shoes off and hit the bed. No bath, like I was exhausted.
Knackered.
So I totally get how these people feel. And if you have to do this on a daily basis, you don't have a choice. Your house is in that vicinity. The dust, the fuel. I mean, you are looking at your fuel gauge and you're like...
It's moving when you are static. Meanwhile, about 3 weeks ago, we read in the newspaper that President Akufo-Addo says his administration...
The bit about roads?
Yes, built the most roads.
You know, I've always contended that it's not to say they've done nothing. They've done something, yes. But anyway, I don't know what else to say.
We have to go. Chale, if you want to escape from all of this...
is there an
escape? Then let me tell you to escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel. That is at Jurapa, Dubai. I'm sure you've seen the rest. Now it's time to see the best. So take a break from work and take a break from the south. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, that's at Jurapa, Dubai, is the best place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the south. Now, this is what awaits you. Unforgettable safari experience, amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamus, zebras, ostriches, among many others, using their spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or quad bikes. 2, water sports, such as jet skiing, boats and canoe rides, etc. 3, various family games to keep you and your families excited all day long, every day. And 4, great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, like the Mushroom Rock, Slave Cave, etc. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, that is at Jurapa, Dubai, for an unforgettable safari experience. You can call them on 0501 694 280 or 024 88 444 63 for reservations and further inquiries. On that note, we're wrapping up this conversation, but do you see this coming to an end anytime soon, Benjamin? I mean, I get that the contractor needs
in terms of the roads?
Yes. So it's a money issue.
No, when you say come to an end, it's going to be with us for a long time because of a lack of planning. I mean, listening to Engineer Odai, I'm sorry, with all due respect to him, we don't have the mechanisms in place, and I'm not lampooning him as a person. The system is not working. The system is broken. You get it. You have a system where even he is not sure when the contractor is going to be able to. And I had to read between the lines and realize that, no, it's a matter of payment. And then he had to come and confirm that the people haven't been paid. Already, look at the existing conditions in terms of the economy. Look at the CD to dollar exchange rate and all of that. If that contractor is having to go to site to expend, some of these things are not bought in CDs. They are bought from the sub-region in hard currency. How do you expect them to get that, come and expend it without knowing when they are going to get paid? And it was right you asked him about even those who are coming to do the patchwork, how will they be paid?
Benjamin, you know what's also shocking is that one maintenance team, going to Suhum to fix roads there, and then have to travel back to Accra.
Oh, that one has to do with contracts.
We cannot afford to have, like 2 maintenance or 1 at least for each region. So the same team in Suhum.
Did you hear what I said?
Just wait for them to come back.
Did you hear what I said?
What did you say?
It has to do with somebody's contract. But let's activate the phone lines. And when it comes to electricity, poles, pylons, there are some entities involved. You'll be in a contract. You need to know how this works to understand. What you're saying makes perfect sense. But how does it work politically? That's a different ballgame. You can reach out to us and share your thoughts. If you use any of these stretches, I mean, the Aplao stretch, for example, Pram Pram, Tema-Dawhenya, if you use the Akosombo stretch and other stretches. I mentioned that I went to Esutuare the other day and it was like, a tug of war. What is your experience? Call that number at the bottom of your screen. Let's have a discussion. 0302-211-691. What has your experience been? Share with us on the AM show. For me, I mean, these bits, I've stopped. Sometimes, and there's the thing, right? Sometimes you're in Accra, and you focus here and you think, if you go outside Accra sometimes, you'll be shocked.
Yeah. Some of the pictures that Caleb Mensah captures tells the story, a very picturesque story. But we have a call on the line. Tete is calling us now. Tete, welcome on the show. What's up?
Thank you so much for having me.
What's on your mind? Do you live around these areas that we're talking about, or is there a different issue you want to address?
The Dawhenya barrier road, and I've used the Appiagyei all stage Ashamawan road. And that I think the
Please
government...
speak up and maybe reposition because we can't hear you clearly.
Yes.
Good.
I used the Dawhenya barrier road, and I've used the Ashama out because and sincerely, seems the government doesn't care about people in the area. Because if you go to the areas in the, especially the Achin area, the roads were done so beautifully. Yet the areas that have more people coming into that crowd almost every now and then, those roads are terrible. The government must speak up. It is important. We are suffering as people in this country, and it seems the governments don't care. Please, make this thing loud enough for them to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Tete.
Said we are interesting points.
The country is broke, Ben, and
it says it appears the leaders don't care, but they care about your votes, though.
they don't have enough money to fix it.
No, they care about your votes. If it's your votes, they'll find a way of getting to you to secure those votes. It just makes, I mean, for example, Collins says, please, as engineer Oda is saying, they have only one emergency maintenance team to address issues on our roads. Are we really serious in this country? Re-echoing what you were saying earlier. I don't think it's one, though, because I think I've heard a few things in the past. I doubt it is
one.
one.
Why must they wait on one to travel all the way from Suhum before Accra? Look at that accident on that road.
Yeah.
We have Douglas on the line with us. Douglas, good morning.
Good morning, Mom. Yeah, I'm watching your show. I listened to the engineer talking about the arrangement that they have with contractors. Sometimes you listen to these our leaders, and you can't imagine how much we pay them, and they are not delivering. For what kind of leaders that we have in this country? Look at the road, and you are telling us that somebody, a contractor is somewhere else who has to oversee to this. You know, what he was saying, you can just know that he's just lying through the teeth. He's not performing. They are not performing. And at the end of the day, the nation pays them so much for no work done. And I beg to differ whatever that he tried to explain to us. It's so much that most of the time we think about our politicians, 4 years. But these, our civil servants, are also not helping at all. They take the bulk chunk of our money every month without delivering. This is my take this morning.
Thank you so much, Douglas. And I'm wondering whether
So he is targeting, he is also targeting technocrats and all of those people for failing to do their work. But let's bring Auntie Maggie into the conversation. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. I'm Auntie Maggie calling from Ashama Estate.
Ashaiman Estates.
Ashama Estate, Bank of Ghana, and the hilltop.
Right.
Ashama
Okay.
Estate.
For a moment, yes. So what is your experience? I mean, your stretch, what are the challenges? Or where do you pass that you'd like to talk about?
We live at the hilltop here from ICGC, descending into the estate at this spot. We are the hilltop. And the road is so terrible. We live in actually Adwa Sakwat constituency.
Oh, Dome Kwabenya.
Dome Kwabenya, and we are at the hilltop, where the hill is at the top there.
Those roads.
And what is it like? What is it like? I have a clear picture now. But what is it like navigating that route, maybe on a daily basis?
Terrible. When you are from the estate and you are climbing the hill to the ICGC area when you live here, it's very bad.
I see. What if I may ask, would you want the government to do about the situation? What is your plea?
Uncle, I see the government can do a lot, but it all depends on this, our MP. If you are an MP, it's way like this, you can never even find your MP coming around to see where the problems are. They are hiding, they are in the room, they won't come out. Just staff will never step here and see what we are going through. At the end of the day, the election time, you will just come and share fried rice and things and leave. What kind of MP?
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
People are going through frustrations though. Have you tried the Ablekuma stretch? At least the last time I did.
It's terrible, eh?
Charlie.
Why have citizens stopped protesting? Ashaman was protesting last year. I mean, it was almost every year there will be protests, burning ties, blocking roads.
But we also don't want to. We don't want to support that. We don't want to encourage people to, because we know what this devolves into.
A little bit of that, Benjamin, is needed to force the hands of governments to fix issues like this. You know, sometimes you think you yourself have said on this show that our reality is different from theirs. So how would they understand that our situation is dire if we don't make noise about it?
You know, the only times they get to understand is when, once or twice, we've had incidents where the president and the vice president have got stuck in certain places, or there's been an incident. I guess that's the only time they get to really see what is happening. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name, please?
I'm Peter, calling from Ashaman.
Okay, Peter, which specific part of Ashaiman do you reside in?
Yes, please. Ashaman, Lebanon, Zone 2.
Okay, so you use that stretch. Is it every day?
Yes, please. That stretch coming from connecting Punkataman, so Ashaman, zero traffic. See, my brother, we have issue in this country. This road was constructed under...
Did you just say under Akufo?
No, please. 2016, just 2016.
Okay.
And within a period of 5 years, this road has deteriorated to this level. And you ask yourself, what kind of construction do we do in this country?
Exactly.
And looking at the amount, the quantity of amount that was used to build this road, and you ask yourself, how come within a period of 4 or 5 years, this road should be deteriorated to this level? It's mind-boggling. Now, coming from Asama, Lebanon to Asama traffic light, my brother, you can't use that stretch. And there's no any other place you can use. Everywhere is spots. Within a 5 years, from 2016 to 2018, 2020, the road got spots. What kind of contract, what kind of engineer do we have in this country? What kind of supervision that goes into construction in this country? Why are we wasting money? It's very painful. It's painful.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Do you know what strikes me about this? He says this road was constructed in 2016. So that would be under the NDC administration. It's been, what, 80 years now, right? But my checks reveal that approximately, I mean, whether there's a concrete essence or it's just asphalt, you are looking at anywhere between 18 and 30 years in terms of the lifespan of these roads.
Right.
So it could hover between 18, 20, and 30 years. If within 8 years these roads are going, it's testament to what is happening in our country. So, and you see, I say, and some others have said, I think engineer, what's his name? Mahama has also in the past. We'll keep having these situations. You know why? Because contractors will have to pay kickbacks and they'll also take their profit out. And in the end, we'll get the roads we get.
So you start with an estimation of, let's say, 100,000 CDs, but out of that 100,000, only 20,000 will end up being actually used.
30,000 has gone to someone in kickbacks and the rest.
Well, let's take the conversation to Appiagyei. We have a caller coming to us from Appiagyei. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Bafo Kwesititi.
Okay, Bafo. Share your thoughts with us.
I am the Brantihin of Appiagyei.
Right.
You see, this type of government and not NDC and NPP, they are not doing any shit. The main road from Appiagyei, Kumasi Road.
We'd excuse your French, but yeah, go on.
Please, for the rest of your commentary, we can't use the S word and others, so we beg you. Please sanitize it, Nana, for us. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. From Appiagyei Junction to Bunsu Junction, the road is very bad. And every day the ministers, they will pass through with their motorcade and sort of. So just about 2 days you have to use to construct this road, they will not care. Always articulated, walking up trucks and always getting accidents over there. So please tell the management and the highway authority, the engineer that and so this is what I want to tell them. They should work hard for Ghanaians. We are suffering. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin.
Sometimes the anger spills over. Nana was using certain words that we couldn't.
You're speaking.
There's recently this stretch that someone was talking about. It's something we covered, I think. And the person was saying this was a stretch of about 300 meters.
Just 300.
Which even walking, you could.
Yeah.
It will take you over 30 minutes because of how bad. 300 meters. It will take you.
300 meters is like
yes,
the other of
but when the road is that bad.
Oh, Jesus. And you know, there are African countries, I haven't gone everywhere, but I've been to Cote d'Ivoire, I've been to South Africa, and it's a shame. One of the guys was saying that it's a shame, and it's really a big shame on us. Ghana.
Even Burkina Faso, those on the border, sometimes will tell you that Ghana, practically non-existent, no roads. You cross into Burkina Faso and... but we have another caller. Would you like to take Maxwell?
You want to join the conversation? Good morning.
Yes, please. Good morning, madam.
Sure,
there's one thing I wanted.
Maxwell, we're losing you.
Sorry, please, can you hear me?
Max, you would have to reposition and speak up for us, please. And if you're listening on your set, just listen to us on the phone. Max, I suspect you're using your set instead of your phone. Well,
I think we lost Maxwell. But at some point,
unfortunate.
We have to wrap up this conversation.
Yeah, but you know, the way people have called, it tells you, and if those in power are watching, and they always do, hopefully there will be a prick of conscience to do something, because the impact of these things, I mean, it's crazy. You can't be productive at work. The Tema-Dawhenya thing, pram stretch coming into, you will not be productive at work. If you could have given 95%, you end up giving about 45%. Reality, because you get to work exhausted. You'll probably doze off at some point. I mean, and health consequences, dusty roads and all of that. It's so sad.
Economy. Transportation is the backbone of every economy.
Look at the price of fuel now. Yeah. And you'll burn...
And parts.
Don't start with the spare parts. Anyway, spare us the spare parts conversation.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyway, well, we're going to have to draw the curtains on this conversation, but it's a project that we'll keep working on here, because guess what? Your wahala is our wahala. And I guess we'll stick to the hashtag I took from one of our callers. Is it Mohammed Diko? Yeah. Fix the roads. Hashtag fix the roads. We're taking a breather here on the AM show. We'll be back with more.
And we're back on your screens with more conversations coming your way. Now that the raining season is here, it's important that we keep safe, keep our environments clean, so that there's no flooding situation here and there. Now, Zoomlion Ghana has been embarking on some education campaign to help people understand what to do and what not to do. I've been joined in the studio by Tema-Dawhenya, who's the Director of Communications and Corporate Affairs, Zoomlion Ghana, and Sophia Kujoji, the Chief Communications Officer, Jospon Group, okay, to get into this conversation about the public education program, which they've been doing for decades now, right? Yeah. Well, welcome to the program, ladies.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, first of all, why are you doing this? Let's start the conversation from there. Right. Emma.
Okay. All right. Like you rightly said, during the rainy season, we see a lot of debris moving along with the runoffs. So we of Zoomlion, who have positioned ourselves to help clean the country, put it upon our shoulders to remind people of who we are and what we have been doing, good or bad, regarding our waste management issues. And we know that the debris that gets locked up in the drains and the gutters make it impossible for the runoffs to flow freely.
Right.
So it gives the problem of flooding. So this is why we are here today.
Okay.
And we've been doing this since the rains came down, and we are doing it to remind people that, look, decide on how you manage your waste. It is on you to manage your own waste properly.
All right. So, Sophia, how then should we manage our waste properly? Now, let me just chip in that we've been doing a series on Joy News called Filth Exhibition, where we go to communities and institutions to see how they manage their waste. And it's disheartening sometimes to see that these communities lack dustbins, for which reason they're pouring rubbish into gutters, which will then choke the gutters when the rains come, and then there's a flooding situation right behind Akufo-Addo's house, President Akufo-Addo's house. Aladuna community. That was, I think, the first place I went to, and it was terrible. So how do we manage the solid waste?
So let me add that, you know, in the 2021 census, it was found out that out of the 8 million households that were, you know, counted or censored, only 14% had waste bins. Only 14%.
Why is that, though?
I think it's one, I put it to one, cultural things. Two, we haven't valued waste enough to give it attention. If you begin to see waste as a resource,
right,
and not as a waste, then you begin to give it attention. Why do I say this? As a people, we create, we litter, then we sweep and put together. Whereas under normal circumstances, if we had grown up knowing that if I'm generating waste, I dispose of it directly into a bin, then that bin concept or mindset will be there right from the beginning. Secondly, we think that getting a bowl covered, a neat bowl for waste, is a waste.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, why do I have to spend this amount of money to go and buy a bowl just to put bola in it when I need money for something more important? Forgetting that the repercussions of not managing your waste well could be more dire than the amount of money you're spending now to buy that bin. So one of the first things we want people to do is that have a bin that you can cover, so that whether it's indoors or outdoors, when it rains, it does not, you know, the rain does not fall on the waste.
Okay.
And if you can't get the bin now, then you get a big carrier bag and tie it. And those ones, even if you're not careful, you put it outside, and you have some organic waste in it, like the canzos and leftover foods and others, then some cats and dogs will tear at it, and that will also create another problem for us. But then if we learn to make sure that we have a bin, you dispose into it, and then we also make sure that we have it at the back of our minds that it is our responsibility to keep our environment clean. Because if my environment is not clean, you might look and think that, oh, that was fire, she's not neat. But tomorrow, if anything comes out of it, you'll be affected.
Okay. Let me go back to Emma. Why does it get so challenging to manage waste in the rainy season? But before that, clarify this for me. Does Zoomlion distribute dustbins? or not?
Now,
yeah,
we do not distribute it for free.
For free.
Okay. So
we
you
still
have to
do
pay
distribute,
for it.
but you will pay for it.
How much?
And you need to request for it.
Okay.
And it is an arrangement that goes with the pricing of the waste collection by the assembly in a particular area. So you will need to call the short code, which I'll mention later, and then you have an arrangement with the team at the back office.
So unless you are part of that arrangement, Zoomlion cannot come to your community and take your waste away.
Yes.
All right. So
and it is so because the assemblies have demarcated the areas in such a way that specific areas belong to specific waste management companies.
Okay.
And it looks as if it is only Zoomlion. It's like waste is akin to ZL. So people think that we are everywhere.
Yeah.
But we have not reached that point yet. Though we are the biggest in the country and we are looking forward to finish with Africa, we have regulations because we work with the assemblies, and we have nearly 80 or over 80 waste management companies in Accra, and in the whole country it is a little over 200. So you cannot dump everything at our doorstep. So if that is done, we will do it.
No problem. So now the issue about managing waste in the raining season.
Yes.
Why does it get so challenging? And how do we make sure that it doesn't get so bad that, you know, our communities are flooding here and there?
Okay. So I'm picking it from where Sophia left it.
Right.
People have not placed value on waste. And for that matter, I don't see why I should spend money to get a receptacle to manage my waste. But I'm saying it here that it is on us as individuals to get a receptacle to manage our waste, because each individual generates up to about 0.74 kg of waste every day. And if you are abandoning yours and I'm abandoning mine, it becomes the problem of everybody. And if we all decide we will not take care of it, then it gets to be the choker for the runoffs.
Right.
And then it flows over. And if you are not blessed with a good place, then the water finds its way into places you don't want it to find its way. But water will definitely find its way. That is why during the rainy season, we come out to share with people the need to manage your solid waste, because it is mainly the solid waste, mainly, meaning there are other factors though, because there are places that are very much built up, and that goes into our attitudes. Yesterday, I went to a place and I saw that beautiful buildings were raised in valleys. So I asked the guy I was with that, so if one day they decide to bridge these two hills, what's going to happen to those houses? It is the attitude. Once I have my piece of land, I'm building. I don't really care what's happening. So we need to share with people to remind ourselves of the fact that we should check our attitudes and make sure that we are doing the right thing to help the environment keep us safe.
Because we create the waste, so we need to take responsibility for how we dispose it. I'll give you each a minute, since this is a public education, to speak to our audience, and then you can have your final words. Each a minute. Let me start with you, Sophia.
Okay, all right. So let me start off by saying that from where we came from, you have to place value on waste, 1. 2, waste management is everybody's responsibility. 3, you can reuse your waste, you can recycle it or reduce it. How do you do that? Back in the days, we used to go to the market with baskets. What's wrong with that? We can do that again. Let's do things that will help all of us have life easy. For instance, if I buy something in a bowl and I can use that bowl for another thing, don't just throw it away. Use it for another thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, plastic is also another issue about climate.
Exactly.
And,
you know, and waste management has been found to be about 45% of the cause of climate change issues in Ghana. And so it is our responsibility to see how we take care of it. 2, if I see you misbehaving, let me put it that way, littering, let me take it upon myself to caution you. Let's be each other's keeper. And don't forget, always go to the code, *857#. And anything you want Zoomlion to do for you to manage your waste, we are there to help you. But today, people should learn to pay for their waste to be lifted.
Thank you, Sophia.
You're welcome.
Emma, what would you add to this in a minute?
I would say that we should be able to learn how to foster the culture of cleanliness. How do we do this? We should first of all, as individuals, decide we want to own a receptacle so we manage the waste that we generate. Because from a baby to the day your maker calls you, you generate waste until your own body also becomes waste. So you cannot do without deciding to get a bin. And you manage your waste there like that. I'm also saying that try and get a second receptacle. If it is not a waste bin, get a basket, get a plastic rubber, put your plastic waste inside that one and put the organics into another, so that you are adding value to the plastic waste. It is being bought. We have a young company in a group called Namako, which comes around to buy those plastics.
Right.
And we do that and you help the environment.
Now, let's get that code one more time so that it remains top of mind.
Okay.
The code to contact you for the waste bins and every other thing that we need you for.
So if you need a bin, just go to *857#. When you go there, go to option 4 and you get other 3 contact numbers that will lead you to talk to people if you need to talk to them. Otherwise, you follow the voice prompt for the needful. *857#.
There you have it. Thank you so much, ladies. Emma Adjoa Appiagyei is Director of Communications and Corporate Affairs at Zoomlion, and Sophia Kujoji, Chief Communications Officer at Jospon. Thank you for this public education.
Thank you too.
But there's one more conversation before we wrap up. Now, some first-time voters living with varied forms of disabilities are pushing for free tertiary education policy to be instituted as the various political parties prepare to launch their manifestos ahead of 2024 general elections. We'll bring you that after this break. Stick and stay. Welcome back on the AM show, and before we get into our conversations, I will tell you about some books shortly. But before that, I want to wish Aisha Ibrahim a happy birthday. The lady you just saw telling you about election brief, Aisha, you usually see her at News Desk or JN Today. Happy birthday, Aisha. I wish you many, many years of blessings and ending wealth and happiness and plenty laughter. You are blessed. Right, so let's get back to the studio here. I've been joined by Reverend Eugene Ekuamo-Boateng. He's a minister, full-time minister for Inspirational Praise Chapel Church and the proprietor for Inspirational Praise School Complex. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And you are the author for these 3 beautiful books I have here. Yes. Marriage is for the Mature, and Binding Your Wounds, and The Power of Value. But I'm particularly curious about this one. Yeah. Marriage is for the Mature.
Yeah.
What's the intention behind writing your own book about marriage?
Yeah, I've married for some years now, about 7 years. And being a pastor, I've got the opportunity to interact with a lot of people about marriage. And one of the things I've come to realize is that you need to be really matured in mind before you go into marriage. Marriage is not for boys. Marriage is not for girls. It's for people
Give
who are
me some
mature.
real instances that you inferred this from.
The Bible said that a man will leave the father and the mother. So until you attain the position of a man, you don't qualify to go into marriage. And you've come to realize that there are a lot of divorces and marital problems now because of little problems.
Right.
And you need to attain maturity before you go into marriage, or else you might not enjoy it.
So I'll keep this with me. Let's go to
Good.
let's go to Binding Your Wounds.
Binding Your Wounds.
What's this about? What does this talk about?
It talks about pain, hurt that one goes through in life. Life is a blessing, but you go through pain, and you must use the pain as a stepping stone to rise to the top. This book talks more about, even about my life, what I've been through in all life, and how all hopes were lost. But I was able to turn the hopes that was lost into something better today.
Okay.
My suffering today, I've used it to write a book.
I'm going to read an excerpt.
Good.
It says, life is filled with challenges and adversities.
Good.
And how we respond to them can greatly impact our well-being and spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Developing healthy coping mechanisms is essential for navigating life's trials in a way that aligns with our faith and values. And there's a quotation here, John 16:33. These things I've spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you'll have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. I think this is an interesting book that anyone should grab. And then the last one, the power of value. What is value?
Value is what has been placed on every individual. Do you know, you are too needed to be wasted. There is something on you that until you identify it and know, others will not know. But here is the case, we have people today who place value on other things than themselves. People even place value on other people's children than theirs. So you need to believe you are valuable. And you need to come to understand that you must place value on certain things God has blessed you with. Now, people don't even place value on relationship. People don't place value on family. People are not placing value even in their finances and other things. You need to place value on them.
I keep telling my circle of friends, and they say Sweetie and her conscious something.
Okay.
I mean, on TV, I can't say that word. And it's that everybody is special.
Yes.
We are all ordinary people, but the only people who come out as extraordinary are ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things.
Good.
And doing extraordinary things doesn't mean that you have superpowers.
No.
It just means that you've identified something about you and you're willing to push it and fine-tune it and refine it till it's spectacular. So yeah, I like these 3 books that you've written.
Good.
Now, where can we get it? How much is it? And how do we contact you?
Yeah, it's going for only 50 cedi.
Each?
Each for this count. 50 cedi each. And you can get it when you contact us from Inspirational Praise Chapel, Pokwase. And you can get it at Inspirational Praise Complex School too, which is at Bawi Top Base. And you can get it through this contact 0544 000 296. 0544 000 296. When you call us, we'll just deliver it to you wherever you are.
You have about 30 seconds to sort of sell your book to the audience.
Good. People don't like reading, but the best time to read is now. There is a lot of gift and vision God has planted in people, and the best time to get them is to read books like this. Get a copy of this book, and I can tell you for a fact it's going to transform your life. It's going to make you better. It's going to add a lot to you. And then at the end, you'll see me one day and thank me for getting a copy. God bless you. I'm Reverend Eugene Ekwamoah-Boateng.
Thank you so much, Reverend Eugene Ekwamoah-Boateng, the Inspirational Praise Chapel minister, founder, right?
Yes, please.
And the proprietor for Inspirational Praise School Complex. And grab a copy of these books for yourself. It has interesting things that would help you navigate life's complexities. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And that's how we are wrapping up. But before I go, you know I'm bringing you a photo of the day, and it comes up in a jiffy. Here it is on your screens now. Photo of the day captured by V. Caleb Mensah. Oh, lovely photo marking World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Today we are marking Menstrual Hygiene Day, and it's the 10th anniversary of days set aside to celebrate women, shed light on the myths and misconceptions about sanitary situations, and how we can help young girls in marginalized communities to get access to sanitary towels. And so they're all showing their sanitary towels proudly. I think it was a donation. Well, that's it for the photo of the day. That's how we're wrapping up for the AM show. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and I did this with Benjamin Akako. Joy News Desk is up next. And again, happy birthday to Aisha. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.